Show me something. Hello and welcome to the Show Me Something podcast. My name is Will.
I'm Trevor.
And I'm Jacob.
And this is our inaugural episode of this podcast.
Yeah, new show from the Harbor Boys Network.
Yep, it's a little bit different than the other ones we had before. This one's not Nickelodeon child television centric.
We're growing up.
Although not Nickelodeon.
Yeah, not exclusively not.
Yeah.
So the
tease.
show is basically going to be us coming each week and showing each other something new, something that we love personally, or something that we really enjoyed, and we want to show the other guys who haven't seen it.
Right. I misunderstood this concept, thinking that it would be every week we have three things, and obviously that's very labor intensive.
To be fair, that was an idea at one point.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I
it's
just
a
never
lot.
moved past that, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
So we settled on one thing a week.
Yes.
So we'll do a rotating basis.
So it's going to be starting with you, and we haven't decided yet if me or Jacob's going next.
Yeah, whichever one. It doesn't really matter.
And then it's just going to keep going in that circle forever.
We'll keep that order forever.
Yes.
Yeah, unless,
Except guests.
Yeah, when guests come on, either we'll show them something new, or preferably they'll bring something new for us.
For all three of us,
yeah,
which would be nice.
Which would be dope.
That would be sweet.
But yeah, it's pretty much open for any type of media, anything we want to do.
Movies?
Albums, movies, TV shows, video games, whatever you want to do,
Yeah,
basically.
I would love books, but that's a little bit much.
I mean,
Books could be hard. Novellas could be done.
Yeah,
could do
short
books.
stories.
Mm-hmm.
I could do short stories.
I don't read a lot of short stories, but I could see.
That's the point.
Okay, yeah, you're not.
He does have you on the premise.
You know what? You're right.
All right, cool.
So-
I just added one to my list.
I
in my
think
head.
books is fair though. Like that can just be like a really long one that we do underneath doing other ones, and
Yeah.
then like, hey, special book episode, like or whatever.
We might have to work that out, though.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not going to show you a 1,000-page book.
I mean,
That would take a while.
it wouldn't take that long.
I've been reading this one book for almost 2 years now, and I'm
Oh,
still only halfway through.
So we'll get to it in 2 years.
Same as you, though. With
What?
Game of Thrones, the fifth one?
The fourth one took me like 2 years.
Right.
Yeah, because I stopped. That one is my least favorite. This one, I'm on the fifth book now. Love it. Fucking so good.
Dances with Dragons?
Yeah, Dance with Dragons.
Yeah, I've been reading that since I lived in New York.
So good.
It's been 5 years.
But
almost.
yeah, today, Will, what did you show us?
So I brought the South Korean Best Picture winner, Parasite. Not a super niche pick at this point, now that it's won all the major awards. Directed by joon-ho. It's best kind of to know nothing about the film, in my opinion.
yes.
What I would high-level overview describe it as is a film about class.
Yeah.
I think is the most succinct way to put it without telling you anything at all.
Yeah, that's fair.
So for the format of this podcast, we're going to try and do a spoiler-free section right at the beginning. Listen to that portion, and then after that, we're going full spoilers.
Right. And I think a thing that would be helpful, if for whatever reason you want to listen to 5 minutes of a however long podcast, like simple recommendation, would you recommend it, yes or no?
Yeah, well, yes, I absolutely recommend it. My IMDb rating, I rated it 10 out of 10.
Holy
So
shit. This is the first he's talked about it in front of me. That makes me so excited because
But,
they refuse to talk to me about it. So.
yeah, so I've seen some of the other Best Picture nominations as well. And I still am super high on 1917.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no way it's going to beat it out. And I think I mean, it's super close because I love war films and I rated them both 10s.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Parasite was excellent.
That's
It could edge it out. Okay. What do you think, Trevor?
I also loved it. I highly recommend it. It was really good. I will say the hype around it did disappoint me just a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, it was great. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. Overall, an amazing movie. But with the way everyone was talking, I was expecting maybe like 1 or 2 levels higher, but I still give it like a 9.5, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
It was really good.
What's higher than a 10 out of 10?
I loved
Sorry.
nothing. It was great. No, I'm being objective. I'm just saying like my personal viewing experience. Don't go into it thinking about, oh my
How-
God, this one
Yeah.
Best Picture.
Yeah.
It's got to be the greatest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it's going to be great, but don't let that hurt your viewing of it, I guess.
Yeah, I
in a way.
agree. Speaking as the snob in the room for this particular episode, I watched it before it had won anything. I watched it back in November, maybe.
Hipster.
Because I remember telling you about it, Jacob,
Yeah.
right after I watched it because I thought it was amazing. So
I think I told you I probably told you I hadn't heard of it or didn't even
Yeah.
know anything about it.
Yeah, so this
'Cause
was-
I didn't know anything until I watched it.
right. So last year it had a strong year. It won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, which for those not familiar is the top prize at the Cannes Film Festival, which is regarded as one of the, if not the premier film festivals in the world. It won the Palme d'Or. It had good momentum running into award season, but obviously, as I'm sure you've heard, if you know anything about film, no foreign film has ever won Best Picture before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for it to actually win Best Picture was really cool.
Has another film even come close?
I don't believe so.
I can't even think of one that was nominated, to be fair.
I can't, but I feel like I remember hearing something about, like, I think there's only been one other foreign film nominated before.
Oh, does Roma count?
Probably.
Roma
It is.
was
I mean, it is a foreign
Roma
film.
was nominated, wasn't it?
It was made in Mexico, not America.
No, I mean, it was nominated.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So then there you go.
Roma was
also great.
Roma was a favorite, and then Green Book beat it.
Yeah. Saw both. Both were great.
Still haven't seen Green Book. Not sure how I feel.
Haven't seen either of those.
Yeah, Roma's wonderful.
Yeah, I
don't know if
see
Trevor would
a
like Roma,
disturbingly few number of Oscar-nominated movies.
Cool. That's good to know.
I think
For last year, I saw all of them except for Bohemian Rhapsody because I didn't want to watch it.
Bohemian Rhapsody is fine.
Yeah.
It's fine film.
the only other one I saw Joker and I saw Jojo Rabbit for this
Those
season.
are actually the two I haven't seen.
I've seen both of those.
Ooh.
Yeah. So for this year, I think I saw everything but those two.
Okay. I'm not going to get into reviews of other movies
Maybe, I
right
don't
now,
know.
but
I can't remember the other
The
nominees.
specifics, yeah. Anyway, so I think that probably concludes, right? So that's
well,
obviously
quick summary,
Yeah,
like a quick
so-
spoiler-free summary. So
Cool.
that's
so
on you.
It takes place in South Korea, obviously made by director Bong Joon-ho, who's lovingly referred to as Director Bong. He's got a really great filmography. He's made the film Snowpiercer,
Great
which
movie.
was his first English language film. Came out, I think, 2013, I want to say.
I don't remember. I just know I saw it recently.
Yeah,
So.
so it's got Chris Evans, aka Captain America. It has a great cast. Tilda Swinton is also in it. Again, a film that struggles with class, although this is a much more dystopian setting, I would say.
Yeah, very much so.
So he's got a bunch of great stuff. He made the movie Okja, which came out on Netflix a couple years ago.
Snowpiercer's also on Netflix.
Yeah, so I would recommend both of those as well. Okja is very weird.
That's the one with the little monster hippo thing, right?
Yeah, he's not a monster. He's just a
Oh.
real. He's like
Oh.
he's a bioengineered pig, I think.
Oh, okay.
Basically,
Monster
it has to
hippo.
deal with factory farming. So
Oh,
if you're
interesting.
queasy to that
Sad.
type of stuff, beware. Also, wonderfully zany Jake Gyllenhaal performance in that film.
Is that the movie where he dances with the headphones on in New York City?
Yes.
Is it really?
I think so. Yeah. I don't want to say yes for sure, but it sounds like that's the thing that he did. He was really weird in that film. The cast is great. The main star of the film, whose name I don't recall, but she I think was just a South Korean kid actor, was great. It's good. It will fuck you up probably,
Cool.
especially if you eat factory farm meat, like I'm sure all three of us do.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, you
You're a farm boy, but you have
eat at fast
McDonald's.
food.
yeah. Okay. Yep. You know what? Yeah. So
You
So-
eat Taco Bell almost every week, Joe.
I do what?
It's one of those things that you'll be like, oh wow, that's really thought provoking, and then you'll still go out and get a Big Mac
Yeah.
because we're terrible.
Yeah.
yeah, well.
But you know, it is what it is.
I've
It's a good
accepted
film.
the fact that I'm a horrible person
right.
at times.
It's just kind of how it is. Anyway, yeah. So
Back to this movie.
back to this movie.
Now entering the spoiler zone.
I think spoiler zone. So just obviously 3 hearty recommends.
I mean, we didn't actually give a summary though.
Oh right, summary.
He started it,
It's,
and then
I just think
Oh,
that it's
sorry.
really hard to summarize without spoiling anything.
'cause
I would
I-
say the easiest way. You didn't know anything, right? Going
No,
into
I
it?
prefer that. I feel like the audience shouldn't know anything other than you should go watch the film.
Just I think we can say the film centers around 2 families. One would be stereotypically lower class. One is higher class. Those families entwine in a particular way.
Yeah,
yeah,
That's about as
in a South Korean city.
in South Korea, right? So the film is entirely in obviously the native South Korean. If again you pay any attention to award season, when Bong won best international film at the Golden Globes, he had a great line about if you can overcome the 1-inch tall barrier of subtitles, there's a whole world of film out there that you haven't
yeah.
seen, which I think is really prescient, and obviously made it that much sweeter that he won.
Yeah,
He also referred to the Academy Awards as local, which I thought was kind of a great dig because they have been incredibly local.
It's true.
There's a huge film world outside of America
Absolutely.
that we're not really exposed to. Obviously, Trevor, I know.
Unless you go to like film school and film classes.
Right, which
because then
two
you
of
have
us
whole
have.
lessons on like
Yeah.
Cleo de Cinco Set.
no, all three of us
here
had the same major as me.
Oh yeah, shit.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Well, yeah. So we've all seen those things, but
We've all seen foreign films, and the
Yeah.
foreign films can be really awesome.
Yeah.
Vampires in cinema.
Vampires in Cinema was great.
That's a class he took.
that's a sweet film.
no, that's a class he took.
That's what I'm saying. Class. I meant class.
yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Some foreign ones, mostly American films.
Right.
But it was
Still,
good.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So that concludes our spoiler free. If you want to watch Parasite and you have not seen it, I would highly recommend going to watch it as soon as possible, and also not listening to this podcast from here out until you've watched it.
Let him playing on mute.
Yeah, that too. Give us the listens. That's great.
So, spoiler zone in 3, 2, 1.
You've now entered the spoiler zone.
Welcome.
Spoil away.
So, God, this was cool. This was a really cool movie. I had come into this movie, had only seen one clip from it, and I'll talk about that clip when we get to it. But that was it. That's the only thing I had seen. I knew very little. I was excited, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jake.
Yeah, I had really only seen the clips from when the people were being nominated for like their performances and for the film and stuff.
Right.
And they really, you can't tell what the movie's about. Like the part that I had seen was them practicing lines in their house, and then when they were looking at the painting that the child did.
That's the
and
one
he thought
clip.
it was, and he thought it was a monkey.
And she was like, it's a self-portrait.
And he goes, "Oh, for sure."
For sure.
The mind of a child is unobtainable or
And
something
those
like
were
that.
the only things that I had seen about it, so I literally I had no idea what it was
Yeah,
going to
I had no idea
Yeah.
it was going to take a weird turn. Like,
And I mean,
jeez.
I think, this will probably come up a lot, but this is really one of those movies that I think the less you know, the better.
Oh, absolutely. Because if I had known there was a twist at some point in this
Right.
movie, I would have been waiting for it.
Yeah,
But I was
exactly.
just expecting the class, like, they're going to get found out, something's
Right.
going to go wrong. And there were so many times with, like, I have in my notes as we start going through the whole plot,
Yeah.
where I'm like, that's going to get him caught. That's going to get him caught.
Yeah.
None of that gets him caught.
Right.
But there's so many little things where I'm just like, that's what's going to do it.
Yeah, I will say that the movie was extremely tense. It was one of the most tense movies I'd watched in a long time.
Yeah, same.
Like, more tense than a war film.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the thing too, is because 1917 was amazing.
I
Like
feel
an amazing film, and that was very tense.
I still haven't seen it.
But I don't think it even holds a
I
candle.
know.
Yeah, that's a bummer. But
I know.
even the tension of 1917, I don't think holds a candle to what
No.
director Bong was able to achieve with this film.
1917, I think, is definitely sadder, though, in my opinion. I cried during 1917.
Yeah, agree. I did
This
too.
one does have its sad moments for sure, but
Nothing in it made me
didn't
choke
tear
up in this movie.
Well, I think that's
I was too on edge.
yeah, that's a cool point too, and I don't really know where to start, to be honest.
No one in this film is that lovable.
It's hard to find a sympathetic.
There's
character.
no one. There's at points in times where I'm like, there's a couple people I feel sad about. The
Yeah.
driver I felt sad for. The housekeeper I felt sad for at first.
New housekeeper or old housekeeper?
Old housekeeper.
Okay.
Well, no, because the new housekeeper, I'm just going to call that the mom.
Sure. Okay.
Well, I guess that's not the right one.
Mama
feel
Kim.
like
Mama Kim.
Yeah.
I feel like I feel bad
No.
for some of the things that what is their name? Family, the lower class family. What was their name?
Kims.
The
The
Kims.
Kims.
I feel like I feel bad for some of the things that they did to those other people that were
Yeah,
working at the house.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But also, I don't really have sympathy for any of the characters.
No, and that's well. I think first of all we should denote we're obviously all American men. We don't have a ton of verse in South Korean language. I think the way we'll denote the characters from here forward, the Park family is quote unquote the rich family.
Yes.
The Kim family is quote unquote the poor family. So Jessica and Kevin were obviously given American names by Mrs. Park, who has some level of infatuation with American culture as she dips into English here and there.
Well, also Kevin was an English English tutor, so it kind of I think in her
makes
mind made
sense.
sense. And then
Yeah.
he called Jessica Kevin called Jessica to her
Right.
because she went to Illinois for college.
Right.
In quotes.
in quotes.
Went
Yeah,
to Illinois.
Big,
Yeah.
massive quotes on that.
Yeah, so Park family, rich family, Kim family, poor family, and then you obviously have a few ancillary characters, but for the most part, the movie revolves around these 8 people.
Yes.
Plus the housekeeper of the Park family, who is since ousted by Mrs.
Yeah.
Kim.
Yeah.
Mrs. Kim. Yeah.
Well, I want to let you guys talk because obviously you are the newer viewers to it. I did rewatch it for the purpose of this podcast, but I think one really cool thing is the tonal shifts. So like the first, I would say, hour of the film is almost it feels like a heist film, even though it's not a heist. It's
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
people sneaking around. Their motives, but there's one party of the film who has no idea what's happening to them.
Yeah.
And then that's all well and good, and you get this nice little climax of them with the Park family is away on a trip.
Yes.
They're hanging out, and then all of a
Like we
sudden
won.
the doorbell rings,
And it becomes
it's just like
it's a thriller.
a thriller, a horror
Thriller.
action film. I mean, it's like all these things just slammed into one section.
Yeah. Like a heist movie is actually a great thing to compare it to because they even do like the little things to get people fired.
Yeah.
Are such like things that you would see in like
like an Ocean's,
Ocean's
yeah.
11. I was thinking of that movie with the magicians where they're
Oh,
where
Now
they
You
go-
See Me.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
in that because I've seen that part of the movie where they're throwing the card at each other and
Yeah.
stuff like that. They do that kind of shit like when they are getting the peach fuzz on the house.
That montage is
Like,
is
is
unbelievable.
amazing.
on the maid to because she's allergic to peaches.
Yeah.
So they're
Like
doing
extremely
like those
so.
little things
Like
to-
how does she survive?
I don't know.
Yeah, they're trying to trick the family to basically think that she has some sort of
Tuberculosis.
Yeah.
to be able to, like she's gonna spread it.
Yeah, there are an endless number of YouTube videos about that montage alone that I would recommend going to watch because that is, I mean, it's masterful filmmaking.
It's very
at that
good.
point.
So the movie I feel like it starts off so quick, which I really appreciated. It
That's
was
true,
like
yeah.
all of a sudden it's like, all right, we're in South Korea. We see okay, wow. All right, we're already like inciting it. Like we got the little pizza box thing or whatever, just setting up the family. But that's all really quick. Like setting up that Jessica is a very, very quick and very fast to just like, hey, I'm just gonna blackmail you straight up.
Good with computers.
Yeah,
Very good.
intelligent.
Yeah, good with computers. Well, we learned that a little bit, but yeah, regardless, we set up the family's dynamic
Yeah.
very quickly, and then Min comes in and is like, "Hey, do you want to tutor?" I'm like, "Wow," because that's the only thing I really knew is that this kid was going in to tutor a family's
Right.
person or whatever. That's like one of the few things I knew about this movie. I was like, "Wow, already like in it, going."
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Min, I thought was kind of cool.
Min was
Yeah.
sweet, yeah.
I feel like it also sets up the family really quickly to be like go-getters, even though they're like not in a position where they're able to even get jobs apparently in
Right.
the economy that's in Korea, where
Yeah.
like they mention it a little bit later in the film where they're like even a security job at a business will get 500 university graduates applying to it.
Yeah.
And they're basically like, how do we get a job?
Yeah. You can't.
And they did.
Yeah. Well, they con their way into it.
Yes.
Right. And there's a lot. Obviously, this film is, I would say, primarily a satire about class. I, speaking for myself, am nowhere near well placed enough to speak about class on this podcast.
I feel like we're all three of us are, well, at least in my case, I know I'm not placed enough to speak to the Parker side, but I'm also
Right.
not in a place to speak to
Yeah.
the Kim side either.
We're
Like,
all comfortably middle class, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of us have had experiences of either of these families before. What I would say is
No,
that,
they're both extreme sides.
yeah.
very extreme.
And also, class in South Korea is, I'm sure, immeasurably different than what it is in North
For
America.
sure.
And apparently, these sub-basement type of apartments are very common among the lower
Yeah.
class. And that apartment, like, obviously, you spend a lot more time in the Park home, which is its own marvel
gorgeous.
of architecture.
Well, it was built by like a famous architect or whatever.
Right.
That's the whole like,
Yeah.
well, like actually a plot point essentially.
Yeah. And there's a lot written about this film in terms of how it projects class, especially in South Korea. to be honest.
I do want to say that I think the like set decoration and production team did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Like that sub basement was
Unbelievable.
really awesome looking.
Really
Like,
awesome,
The
yeah.
bathroom in it was something that really struck me. Like
Yeah.
the
What?
toilet was like 4 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
I
like,
assume
on
that's
this
because
weird little
they're
tile
below
section.
like the plumbing
Yeah,
for like
they're below
the
the plumbing.
area. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
assume instead of having to, because you can't pipe, I don't think a sewer line up
Yeah.
very easily. So
Yeah.
like they had to have that toilet up basically at ground level.
Right.
It was insane.
Yeah. And I mean, that opening shot of them just like, I mean, it's a window shot, basically,
Yeah.
when the titles come in of their view out of their apartment. And I love how much
It's like in an
they come
alleyway.
back to that. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
some guys pissing on their window, more or less.
Multiple times.
Multiple times. And then that's obviously the inciting incident for Min to come in and bring them that rock. But,
Yeah, that's supposed to bring wealth, right?
Which
It does.
it does, but it's also like, nah.
It's like a Twilight Zone episode, like that one like insignificant thing like brings so much like wealth and destruction.
It is a cool rock. It's also like the shirt from Drake and Josh.
Huh?
The lucky shirt.
Oh right, yeah.
Is that a thing that brings wealth and destruction?
Yes.
It brings a lot of wealth and like positive things to Josh.
Basically, Josh gets a lucky shirt in one episode from his Grammy, and it brings him so much luck to where he's getting chicks, he gets money, he gets love from Helen. And then Drake finds out about this, and he wants in on the luck, and they end up destroying the shirt and each other.
Wow. And then
Megan. So basically, Parasite.
Yeah, Parasite stole it from Drake and Josh.
Well, they put the shirt back together, and then Megan gives it away to a homeless person.
Yeah,
who then wins the lottery immediately. So,
so go listen to that episode of Drake and Josh podcast.
I have to. I'm sorry.
So, I mean, are we going to run through this chronologically? Are we going to hit touch points? How do you guys feel?
I think we should try and go chronological as best we can. But like, I already have parts I want to jump to.
Yeah, same.
But well, I guess let's try. So yeah, Min shows up. It's like, hey, it's a little bit of an underhanded comment. He's like, I want you to tutor her. You'll be fine at it.
It's absolutely underhanded.
And you're not going to get with her, so it'll be fine.
Yeah.
She'll stick around until she goes to university, and then I can ask her out, which is also kind of creepy.
Yeah.
He's kind of grooming this girl.
Right.
I mean, both relationships are creepy.
Yep.
Anything revolving around that girl was creepy.
Yeah, I mean, they mentioned that she's a sophomore in high school.
That's so bad.
So she's 16?
They're both university age.
Right.
Both of the guys. So it's like,
yeah, unspecified, but definitely university age.
Like,
yeah, because they mention how the Kim son, he couldn't get into college. I guess he had tried multiple times.
Right.
I think he had taken all the tests, but I don't think he had the money to go.
Yeah.
There was some sort of barrier. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. Because they had talked about how he had taken those exams so many times, probably trying to get scholarships or something.
Right.
That he was like, he could teach English like that because he had taken all those English grammar exams so many times.
Yeah.
And he that was her whole thing was like he was teaching her English exam taking.
Right.
Like that was a kind of a cool scene.
Yeah, it was.
So he's like, yeah, go do this job. And he's like, okay, yeah, I'll go do the job. And then he goes and the mom and he lets Kim know, Kim's son.
Yeah.
Kevin know that this mom's not that bright.
Yeah.
She's kind of dim.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah. He mentions that she's like gullible or whatever. And the father, he doesn't get mentioned at all, which I thought when he entered originally in the house when he got home from work that he was going to start asking questions, but he really just didn't care.
Yeah. No, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, "Oh, okay, this is going to be his test."
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, I thought like, "Oh, he's going to find out." I thought he was going to be able to find out that this girl clearly didn't go to art school or art therapy school or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, when
to
that
be able
comes
to
around.
know,
Yeah.
like she's clearly bullshitting.
Yeah. And like that's again one of the many little things like painting the aloofness of the mega rich, right? Like it just doesn't matter.
Don't care, write a check.
Right? Whatever I can do to, make my daughter's education better or to figure out this trauma that my son has suffered, I will write you a check and I'll adjust for inflation, as Mrs. Park mentions to Kevin the first time he comes over.
Yeah. Mrs. Park also mentions when she's first interviewing him that she doesn't care about the documents.
Right.
After they spent like hours like forging these documents because
she's like,
his sister is super good at forging stuff,
right.
which I think we kind of touched on a little bit.
She's like, I don't care. Well, I want to know. And like also she even mentioned that with Min, she liked him.
Yeah.
And she's like, despite what was wrong with her grades.
Right.
It's like, wait, what?
Yeah. So
you're hiring a tutor and you don't care that her grades aren't changing.
Right.
Because obviously they were probably just making out the whole time.
Yeah.
Because, man, that girl
That's what happens.
She is very quick to jump on.
Yeah.
Like, which
she's
is
a teenage
weird.
girl.
And I guess some of it probably comes from, so whenever the wife sits in on the first tutoring lesson, Kevin, like, has this, like, very aggressive moment almost where he, like, is like, I see something about 24 or whatever, and grabs her arm. And, like, you see the mom freak out. I'm like, oh, was that too much? Is he going to have to reel back on that? And then he rolls with it the whole time. And I was so impressed with that scene. That was such a really cool scene.
Yeah. I mean, they do also talk about later the Park father brings it up that he like always looks at whether people will cross the line or not.
Right.
And the Kim family is like perfect at like just not crossing the line.
They skirt that
mention
line.
too, how like they get right up to the line and then they reel back. They never cross it.
Yeah, over and over and
Yeah,
Over
consistently.
and over.
Right. Until I think they eventually do cross the line.
Well, if we want to spoiler to the end, when like shit starts going down at the garden party,
Oh my God, the garden.
but we won't get there yet.
No,
I don't
Now
wanna get
we got to try and be a little chronological.
yeah,
yeah. There's just so much that happens like
so
midway and further through it. Like the beginning, there's a lot of single tiny events that happen in the beginning to set shit up.
Yeah.
But like it really starts to pick up.
Once that montage hits.
Yeah, when crazy shit starts to hit the fan.
Yeah.
But I gotta give it to Kevin on the spot, because they obviously thought of the rest of this plan
Right.
later, but on the spot, as soon as the mom's like, oh, art teachers or whatever, he's like, I got this person.
Yeah.
It's his sister, but he's like,
Yeah.
oh, it was my cousin's sister
something
or
like that.
roommate or some. Oh my God, she's great. I don't know if she's available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then instead of her coming in like he did, being very like respectful, she comes in and is like, I own this place already.
Very different than him.
Leave. And the
Yeah.
mom's like, but I want to say, she's like, leave.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Damn. That
Yeah.
was really like, she was in that character immediately.
Right.
It was so good.
That was something that they did every single time too, which was like whenever they would recommend somebody, they were always like, "Oh, don't mention me" or whatever. Just say like you found the connection,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then just like completely separating themselves, and they made sure that all the personalities were very different,
Right.
and like they never interacted in front of each other. Basically, they were always very separate,
the closest we
which was
got,
excellently done.
the closest we got was once the mom was hired.
Oh, and the dad
Kim
slaps
grabbed
her ass.
Yeah, grabs her ass, and I was like, "Is that gonna?" I thought
Close.
that was one of my moments. I was
Yeah.
like, "Are they gonna catch?"
There's
that?
so
Nope.
many moments where they like kind of like ripple the fabric
Oh.
of the facade, essentially. you
Now
know?
I'm just thinking of the 8-minute crunch. The 8 minutes when
Oh,
they're
the
about
worst.
to get home.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
That was so good.
I was so
That
tense. And
is-
she's like, cook me a meal. They got to clean up the house.
Yeah.
Sorry, but like.
You gotta cook the ramdon.
Oh,
Yeah.
She's like, what the fuck?
What the fuck is?
Also, just like something going back real quick, when Kevin first arrives, that security door that they have going into the yard, that's like a big old like in your face, like, hey, you are not like high enough class to even be in this
Yeah.
neighborhood kind of moment where it was like, damn, the security up here is crazy.
I mean, we should, I think, mention.
And they're on a hill.
Yeah.
And everybody
Right.
else is
Oh yeah,
below ground.
the
ground,
actual
yeah.
elevation,
Yeah.
like
There's an elevation difference.
after they are almost caught during the 8-minute thing, that whole trek down from
Right.
their high horse
It's fucking insane.
into literal
Where all
shit,
the
shit.
water
Yeah.
is just rushing towards the lower class.
Right.
It's
drowning
so good.
We should mention the house, the Park family house.
Yes.
Extremely modern.
That house was made for this movie.
Was it?
Specifically.
Was it really?
Yes.
Really?
Not a pre-existing house. It was made for this film.
That's awesome.
And also, my one last little note of the directing end of things, there were almost no shots in director Bong's quote-unquote screenplay that didn't make it to this film. He
Wow.
storyboards. He doesn't screenplay. He storyboards.
Yeah.
So there's a graphic novel coming out next month of the storyboards,
Wow.
because he himself draws out the entire film in storyboard before making the film. And I think you can really, like, once you know that, you watch that film and you're like, I mean, there's not a second that's wasted.
Yeah.
There's not a single moment of this 2+ hour film
Everything
Yeah.
was intentional.
that you think that, oh, he could have edited this out. I mean, it is perfect.
No, this film
That's
is
crazy.
like,
That's crazy
right?
to know.
It's very rare that when I'm watching a movie, I go and I'm looking at the time that's left.
Right.
And usually if I do, it's because I feel like a movie's going on too long. I did in this one, but it was not because of that. It was because I'm like, man, this, like, I kept feeling like we're about to hit the crescendo. We're
Yeah.
about to hit the climax of this whole film. And then I look at the time, I'm like, I am 30 minutes in.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is happening? And
And I
then
mean, I
again,
thought that too.
again and again and again, I kept doing that. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
usually if I'm doing that, I'm like, let's hurry it up. Come on. This
Yeah.
movie could have been over a half hour ago.
I mean, it's fucking masterful.
Yeah, this time it was just
You always hate to feel that way with a movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it's
do,
the
but
worst.
not this time.
When you check the time and you're like, fuck. You're like, I
shit.
want to love the movie so
Yeah.
bad. That happens a lot of the time with older movies when the pacing's not as good.
For
Right.
sure. And this time, it wasn't like that. It wasn't the pacing. It was just a constant, like,
No, it had good
teasing
pacing.
me. It was teasing me on
It's
that
so
climax. It was like,
efficient.
oh,
There's,
they're
like,
about to
fake
get,
climaxes.
oh, they're going to get found out.
Right.
Oh, they got this in the bag. Oh, it's
Yeah.
just like, oh my God.
One thing after another.
So good.
Yeah.
So all of them get hired essentially one after another.
Right.
The son, the daughter, then the husband, and then the wife at the
Lastly,
very end.
yeah. And
Yes.
obviously the wife with the hardest part because they have to get this housekeeper out who has been she's been working for the family of this house since before the Park family. So
Yeah.
they talk about the architect Nam Gung, I think is his name, who created the house and lived in the house,
And recommended her.
recommended her. So she was his housekeeper. He moved out. The Park family moved in, and they kept her on as housekeeper, which plays into obviously later events in the film.
Yes.
The fact that she's been there through multiple families, but it also plays into the fact that how difficult it is to get her out of this house.
Yeah, because she's basically, she's been
She's
there
a part
longer
of the
than
home.
anyone. Yeah,
Yeah.
the driver was pretty easy. The which was great. I had no idea what she was doing at first.
I
was
didn't
like,
know either. I thought she was going to sleep with him.
What? Yeah, I was
I
like, is
was
she-
like, what?
yeah, I was really weird. And then like when the husband found the underpants in the car,
Yeah, click.
I really thought also
And he also went through it like really like...
methodically, and I was like, he's gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
And then
But he was also like saying stuff to where he didn't want to fire him, but he also did want to fire him, and it was just like talking his wife through it.
Yeah, he's like, it's so
Like-
gross that they would
Like he
do
knew,
this.
I feel like he knew exactly what he was going to do in the outcome, but he was
course.
kind of just like talking his wife through
Yeah,
the
you gotta talk
scenario.
through it.
yeah, like that's so
Talking
weird.
about my day.
Yeah,
You know?
But, like,
I feel like
happened?
it was also like a little bit manipulative. Like he
Oh,
knows
very.
the way
Oh,
she is
for sure.
and she just like she just has that look on her face where she's just like, okay,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
absolutely.
Fire him.
Well, because he seems like he's a very intelligent guy, which I don't actually. By the end of this movie, you're like, you're not that intelligent.
You don't think so?
The dad?
I think he's book smart. I think he has also not the best common sense. I mean, he gets.
Well, I feel like he came probably from money to begin
yeah,
with.
exactly. So it's like, well, like I thought whenever he was like, there was no hair or anything in the back seat, but there was this underwear. I was like, this guy's intelligent. He's figured it out.
Yeah.
And then he's like, it was probably drugs.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Excuse me?
cocaine or crystal meth.
Right. And
She's
Mrs.
like-
Park's face when he says that is so funny.
So good.
I mean, there's so much comedy in this film,
It
too.
was also so funny when the sister comes down after her art lesson is done with the kid, and they're talking about the underwear, and she has the gloves on and the underwear's on the table, and she just whisks it away. She just shoves it off the table.
Flips it off the table.
But also when he says drugs, she picks up the underwear and holds it to her face on accident.
Yeah, like I'm trying to smell the meth. Like, what's going on?
No, 'cause
Yeah.
I think she's just shocked. She's like, oh,
Yeah, she's
fuck.
trying to cover her mouth.
Yeah. Just a quick shout out to Mr. Park's voice. Fucking incredible.
Gorgeous.
It's an incredible
butter.
voice.
Just like-
butter.
Oh, like,
That's a voice.
that's a good voice.
Yeah, that's a good voice.
That is a good voice.
Yeah, it's very good.
But yeah, so then we move on, and like the family's all in on this.
Yep.
They've really straight up poisoned. I was like, man, this is an escalation to get
They
rid of
didn't
that
poison her
house.
that bad though. She seemed fine. She coughed a lot, but
I guess, but
usually
like
with a food allergy, you'll get like hives and shit.
Yeah.
hives or like die.
Yeah.
From
That
like-
She
cough,
didn't eat it.
that cough sounded fucking gnarly, though.
Yeah, it did. And then the
Oh,
little
yeah.
hot sauce packet
Yeah.
on the napkin, that was really
I mean,
good.
the premeditation of that montage.
Oh,
is
for
just
sure.
Fucking
Like
immaculate.
even
It was-
before that, when they're in the start of the montage, when they're reading lines,
Yeah.
the dad and son are reading
He's
lines
like,
to each
no,
other.
you're up here. You have to come down here.
Yeah,
You're like,
he's directing the father and
Yeah.
how he should be doing his lines.
That was so
But they
good.
have it down to a T. They know exactly what the wife is gonna say.
Right.
Like, which is the craziest part.
I
'Cause
mean,
she
it's-
says exactly what's
she's
in
so
the script.
dim-witted that of course she'll say this.
It's
you
just
know?
the craziest thing.
What I
It's
want to
amazing.
What I want to know though is what is the timeline on this? Like, how long between
few
Kevin
weeks.
starting?
Yeah.
I think they probably took like a week for the sister
For
probably to
Jessica.
come in.
Yeah.
But like after that, what's the timeline on this? Because for them to be able to know exactly what Miss Park or Mr. Park is going to say,
Yeah.
you think they would have been around them a lot.
Right.
But like, I want like the timeline is unclear.
Yeah.
I will
I think
say
it's probably lasts over a month. I would say.
Yeah,
month?
and that's
Really? That's short?
also
I think so.
the beauty.
I was
going
gonna
to
say a year.
No, definitely not a
No.
year. Yeah, definitely not.
No, because it's also within the span of a time that like someone would be like the other tutor is still off in America, right?
Right,
He's
Min,
still
yeah.
doing.
Yeah, but he's studying abroad for
abroad.
probably like a year or two or more.
It depends, but probably like a year. Yeah, but like I don't know. I just feel like it seemed like it was such a short amount of time.
Yeah,
It did seem like it, but I was like, man, for some of these plans to lay them and then execute them, it seems like it takes some time, and it just is a little unclear on how. I guess it all technically would take place within a year because by the end we have snow falling and
right.
stuff.
The
Yeah.
seasons don't change during the montage.
But also, how long does it take for court proceedings to go in South Korea?
I don't know, but it's also
And also,
like this family
he's
would want to
unconscious.
fill these roles. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
This family isn't gonna wait and like not do stuff. Like you even saw the wife struggling when the housekeeper got fired.
Yeah, with the
to do,
dishwasher.
Like, simple things,
Simple
dishwasher,
stuff.
cooking.
Right.
Like she couldn't do them, and even the husband was like,
Mentions
"Yeah,
it
the house
in
is
the
gonna be a
car.
mess in a week."
No, I do think
Like-
I do think time from housekeeper being fired to
yeah.
mom coming in is very short. I
Right.
do agree with that, but I
But you're
think
talking like tutor
the lead up to
to
that,
art tutor to driver. But here's my question: did you think about that during the film?
No.
very little. I think
Yeah.
it crossed my mind a couple, like one time where I'm like when they're reading the lines, I'm like, how
Sure.
long did they plan this for? And then I immediately was back in the movie.
Right.
It like whoop, whoop, like
Yeah.
in and out of my brain, but.
Yeah. The pacing is relentless.
The
Yeah.
pacing is. That's why I didn't have time.
It doesn't really give you time to think about this.
The
stuff.
only time I got out of the movie was when Trevor arrived and he knocked on the door.
with 40 minutes left,
yeah.
right?
And I was like,
Hey, I'm
oh.
glad I got to watch the end of this movie again.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
right
'Cause it was
after
right
the
as
twist.
It was right as the 8-minute thing was happening, right? Mm-hmm. Or like the end of the 8-minute deal when you came in. Pretty sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So the 8-minute thing. Basically, the family once they've all gotten these jobs, the rich family goes off and is celebrating their son's birthday with
The-
a camping trip.
Yeah. The son who has had all this air quote trauma,
Right. Art therapy.
art therapy.
Also, I think.
He's obsessed with Native Americans.
Right. And that's cool to mention, I think, because
the scout thing.
He loves American culture.
This is not all from me. I've listened to a bunch of podcasts about this film as well because, of course, in the getting swept up and watching this, you need to hear more about it.
Yeah.
Mentioned in one of those podcasts, I believe it was Film Spotting. Sorry to plug another show on our show, but
That's fine.
they mentioned the fact that his obsession with Native Americans is also a play on class because who was historically disenfranchised by wealthier and more well-off people?
Native Americans.
Native Americans, right?
And they're like,
Didn't think about that.
It's funny with big headdresses.
Right.
It's like that's also very that's the most culturally insensitive version of
Yeah.
Native Americans.
And like the
so.
thing at the end, they're like playing this this little play
Yeah,
where they basically
fucked.
are in quote like savages.
Yeah.
And like go to attack the
was the bad
princess.
Indians and the good Indians.
Yeah, they're the
and-
princess with the cake.
It's insane.
It's like
It's
all
just
right.
every fucking detail of this film.
And
is
you
just
see the blank face on Mr. Kim's face. He's just like,
the worst. It's
He's like,
it's
what
his
am I
breaking
doing?
point,
Yeah.
more or less. It's right there. Anyway, so
Well, yeah, just after that. But
right,
Yeah.
So the Kim family is established. They all 4 of them are working for the parks.
They've all done all sorts of crazy stuff to get
Right.
into this.
Wonderful stuff.
schemed and dreamed their way
Schemed
up.
and dreamed. The
Big
parks
schemes.
go away, as Jacob mentioned, on a camping trip for their son.
Pouring rain out.
Pouring rain, and like you see, as they drive away, Mrs. Kim is in the garage as the garage is closing, and then like it's like like the blinds are drawn on her actual personality too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then her whole family is in the house.
They're all there. They're
We're all
like
there,
chilling.
we're drinking,
Like
eating.
drunk.
They're drunk. Yeah, they're drunk.
Kevin's reading the daughter's
the
diary
yeah.
because
The sister's
it's his,
so drunk.
Yeah,
it's
she's
his air quote girlfriend. Which, by the way, 25 minutes in and he's already kissing the girl.
I mean,
I
but
put a time marker down because I was like, "Damn, he's doing Min dirty immediately."
that was with his second lesson to us.
yeah.
Because first lesson was with the mom. Second lesson when they were behind closed doors, kissing.
Boom.
But like his friend is not a good friend. Like
Right.
he only picked him because he thought he wasn't gonna do that.
Exactly.
Yes.
So fuck him. Like
But also,
Another like higher quote unquote class person.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
like, oh, this would
Here's
never
this
happen.
fucking rock that will bring you some fortune. Also, look over my will-be girlfriend because I'm not threatened by you.
yeah. Which is
As he's wearing his fucking blazer with a t-shirt. What a bitch. Fuck that guy.
But also, like, he got Min a job.
No,
which
clearly fuck that guy. When he looked around in the apartment, you could tell he was judging them.
Yeah.
No, of
He's
course
like,
he
it's
was.
nice to see your family is in good health.
Yeah.
Like, I expected them not to be because you're fucking poor.
Yeah. No, but
And
hey,
they're like having all these courtesies towards him because of who he is.
Clearing
basically.
the table off. Like, I'm sorry it's so messy.
Yeah.
Well,
Were you eating? No.
We
None of
never-
the stuff. They just push it all away.
Shove the food
we never
off the
see another
table.
guest come into their home, to be fair.
No.
So we don't know. I feel like that might just be a cultural thing of like a guest comes in, be very courteous
possible,
and
definitely,
open
yeah.
and stuff like that.
Maybe. But I think the fact that we don't see another
Min
guest
is
framed.
Min is not the best friend,
Right.
but I still think
But they
second
also-
lesson and you're already like, nah.
They also hold him in a high regard, though. Whenever he came over, they start talking about how great college students are.
Yeah.
Like they're different. She says they have like a different type of vigor than everyone else or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah.
Because
I just
he
have the word
shoos
vigor
away.
written down. I don't know why. I guess
Well,
that's why.
they do keep saying it. They use vigor a lot for some reason.
Also, so metaphorical. They use a lot, which I love.
What?
The phrase "so metaphorical."
Oh, really?
Like when they get the rock, Kevin says "so metaphorical," and he brings it up multiple times throughout the film.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyways, yeah, the family's all in the house now, chilling, drinking, eating all this food.
Tumultuous rainstorm.
I'm like, what is okay?
Yeah.
First of all, guys,
They're goofing around. They
this
make
is
a mess.
this is dumb.
A mess.
This is like if you are running this hustle
Yeah.
and doing it so
I think it was
well,
dumb, too.
this is the dumbest. I was like, this is what gets them caught.
Right.
Ultimately, it does.
No, they
I
don't
think
get
no.
caught.
It
It
sets
doesn't.
up. It sets up the plot device that leads to them getting. They never even really get
No.
caught.
They
This
don't.
is-
They don't.
They don't get caught.
No.
They don't get caught.
This
They don't get
does.
fucking caught. Shout out to the Kims, bro.
I mean, they do, but they don't.
Shout out. No, because like even at the end when
don't.
they go through court proceedings,
they have
they're good to go. They get
they're off
probation.
on probation. Yeah.
No, but they all.
But it is for forgery and like,
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. They
True,
do
okay.
get technically
They
caught,
get quote unquote caught, but
but
not
that's
in the
only
way that
after
we
multiple
think.
people die.
Right, and
So-
also it won't. They're
not
not
pinned on
caught in the way we think they'll be caught as this film progresses.
Yes,
Because
so
so many times it's just like
Oh, it's
that
gonna
person's
happen
right
now.
there. Like in the frame, you can see from the camera's point of view, you can see both families. But from like the individual characters'
Yeah.
point of views, they just cannot see the other family. Like they can't
No.
see the Kims. Hiding
there's
in
only
the
one
darkness.
time that I'm like, how did you not see that? There's only
feet.
one time.
when the dad is laying on the ground, Mr.
Yes.
Kim is laying on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only time
But
I
he's
get.
tired. That it makes sense to me because he's tired. It's dark. Your eyes haven't adjusted, and you're only focused on your son.
Right.
Yes, but also he's right there.
Yeah.
Like
He is off to the side. Like if I was here and I was looking out the window and I'm trying to focus, I just woke up. I'm not seeing the feet.
No. I'm
Not in the darkness.
So
yes,
so
So,
we're
but-
establishing the home.
they're making a mess.
The
Which
Park family is away. We're fucking hanging out. We're out in the yard. We're out in whatever room we want to be in. We have the lay of this unbelievable house to ourselves.
also this is the scene that made me hate the Miss Kim, the mom,
Yeah.
when she pushes the dog.
Yeah.
Fuck that bitch. At that point,
I feel like from the beginning you can tell she.
She's the ruthless one.
Yeah.
yeah, she's ruthless. She's the hammer throw.
Right.
She's like a
It's
medal winning.
reinforced multiple times in this next
That
10
she's
to
like
30
a beast.
minutes. Yeah.
But that moment especially, I had a little bit of like, okay, these guys are running a hustle.
Right.
I don't like it, but I respect it in a
Right.
way. That I was like, nah, fuck her.
I mean, that's Americanisms, right? Like, you don't disrespect animals.
Yeah, he's
We
just,
all have
well,
that
not
reaction.
household animals.
he's
household
coming
animals,
over for a
right.
pet. Like he wants to be pet.
No, fuck that. This is your fucking rich dog. I'm trying to sit here and get drunk.
That's
off
true.
your
They are
rich-
trying to get drunk and eat
Your
a lot
rich
of food.
liquor.
You want that dog to like you because
Right.
that solidifies the hustle.
Right.
That dog will then speak more volumes if you mess up something.
But that never actually came back.
It
to bite
doesn't. But in
No.
my mind, if you mess up, that dog liking you is going to be like, but the dog likes him. The dog likes him, and we don't want to find another housekeeper when the dog already likes this one.
Maybe.
Yeah, but anyway, they start roughhousing a little bit the two parents because they're
Fake
like
a fight.
yeah fake fighting.
Oh my God,
Which
I
was
got-
great.
I got so
because the
scared.
wife calls him a cockroach
Yeah.
essentially.
I mean, that I think that probably, it definitely shook me.
I
It
thought,
shook me
I
hard.
thought it was
hit her.
legit. Yeah, it was
Yes.
legit. We were like, holy shit.
I was like, Mr. Kim is not that
and
violent,
both the
but
parents were
jeez.
like, whoa. I mean, sorry, both the kids were like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
and then
the
they
parents
laughed.
started laughing, right? So,
And he broke glasses doing
Yeah.
that. Like,
He
that's...
he took his arm and swept the coffee table that they had all their food and alcohol
yeah,
on.
just a mess.
Shattered glass everywhere.
Which
And
mom's
then
going to have to pick that up.
This is also the moment when ding dong, the fucking
Right.
bell rings.
So, I go back to tonal shift, right? Up until this point, we were on edge
This part,
but
was,
we're not like sweating
Right.
and having short breath.
This whole
right?
sequence, I couldn't fucking believe.
It's fucking fucked.
It's
fucked.
insane.
So the doorbell rings, and then immediately, it's now a fucking thriller horror film.
I thought that was the family at first.
Yeah,
I was like,
Well-
oh fuck, they're caught.
Right.
This is gonna be a like weird science kind of moment where like we gotta clean everything
Yeah.
before the parents walk in the
Yeah.
door.
But that 8 minutes is not a movie 8 minutes. Like, that 8 minutes goes by quick as fuck.
it goes
Yeah.
by
Usually
quick.
when it's like, oh, we got 8 minutes.
They'll
it's
drag
It's a
it the
half
fuck
hour
out.
later.
Well, they'll
It's
drag
like
it out
10,
to a legitimate
12
8 minutes
yeah.
or like longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this was like a
Like
couple of
two.
shots and then it was
Yeah.
like later. It was already done.
So the doorbell rings. The whole Kim family is fucked up. The house is a mess. It's torrentially raining.
Downpour.
Lightning, thunder, everything. Bless you.
I am so sorry.
It's okay. Bless you. The Kim family is drunk. The doorbell rings. They, after a moment of hesitation,
Like, who's here? at this
Mrs. Kim
time of
goes to check the door, of course, because she's the housekeeper now.
I don't think she should have answered the door.
She shouldn't have. I
No.
agree.
No one needs to have been there.
'Cause they saw-
No.
They already established that they don't stay the whole time because they show them all back at their own house.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I thought the lady, the original housekeeper, was a live-in housekeeper.
Which also though the mom
she seemed to live in.
does
Yeah.
stay over because they even tell her whenever
Go to your room.
Go to your room.
Yeah, true. They
You
do
go
say
ahead and
that.
go to
Yeah.
bed. Go to your room.
Yeah.
So I think whenever the mom saw, because she was able to see basically Ring doorbell style,
Right.
that it's the old housekeeper. I'm just not going to answer it. She could have just not answered it at that
Right.
point.
Yeah, because the gate's locked and they have tall walls.
Yeah.
The old housekeeper, the change in her demeanor, persona,
Huge.
physicality,
She's insane.
from the
She looks so
moment she
different.
leaves the house, she's walking down the driveway, the road, sadly with her little suitcase, to now, she looks like an entirely different person.
There's
Yes.
like a complete like class change with her.
It's like insane.
yeah.
she becomes crazy. She
Becomes
she's laughing
she's
maniacally.
speaking weirdly. Her diction is off. She's stuttering. She's giggling, as Trevor
Yeah, the
mentioned.
laughing was weird.
The laughing was
Terrifying.
terrifying.
Laughing
And,
is
like-
weird, man.
And Kevin, though, in that moment when the mom turns back to them, is like, "What should I do?" He's like, "This wasn't in the plan,"
Right.
which immediately is like a whole
That-
thing.
yeah,
We're
that
off
comes up
the books.
constantly afterwards.
Like
We're off the books at that
the
point.
plan is now like the plan was everything,
Right.
and now the plan is nothing.
Well, the
Yeah.
plan was finished essentially.
They won.
More or less, yeah.
At that point, before that
They were
doorbell
celebrating
rings,
the plan winning.
Oh, well, the
They
plan.
had
The only
won.
thing they had left in the plan was for Kevin to end up somehow marrying the daughter,
Right.
And then
but that was
Hiring
also
actors.
hiring actors and all this weird stuff. But,
But that was on
that was
point
speculation.
Too. That was
but-
on point too because she's 15. She's in love with Kevin clearly, and if he keeps that gambit going, it'll work.
He'll at least
You
be
know,
set for
facade.
life.
Fuck men, who cares?
Yeah.
I have this person now, right? So that doorbell rings, and it's like a new movie.
Yes.
It is fucking horrifying what happens from here to the end. I think.
yeah.
And then like horrifying, not in like a boo scary type of way, but like a
Tense.
I can't breathe and my butthole is clenched so tight that it feels like I'm swimming in an infected river.
Yes.
Like
Which
it's unbelievable.
they do.
They do.
Yeah,
right. They
they
do. I hope they clench their butts at that point.
Oh, I'm sure.
Bro.
I mean, and like I was watching it again last night, and again, as you both know, as no one knows, but besides you two, I had a wicked migraine yesterday.
Yeah.
We were supposed to record this yesterday, but as
fine.
I'm leaving, I got a wicked
Dude, it's
migraine.
okay.
Right. So, but
We're
I
extending
used
Trevor's visit.
right. I used the time to rewatch this film. I watched the first half last night, and I fell asleep on the couch, and then finished it today. When it got to this point, when the doorbell rang, I was like, I have to just go to sleep because it's too spooky to watch at night. Like it's scary,
To
man.
be fair, you're not a horror boy.
I'm
so,
not a
like,
horror
this
boy.
is as much horror
Yeah.
as you
Hey,
can
yeah.
handle.
Neither am I. I don't
Right.
do horror movies, and I watched this not last night, but the night before.
I'm gonna make
just
you guys
before
watch
go.
horror movies.
That's fine.
I don't watch modern ones. They're gonna be silly horror movies.
Okay, that's fine.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's
I'm in
scary.
there. I've seen it.
Yeah, the original one.
Watched it in film class. Yeah, from the
Okay,
70s.
yeah. I haven't seen the Rob Zombie one.
No.
Like I've seen like The Shining and stuff like that, like old horror movies like that. But those are not even that scary.
Right.
But
That's the kind of horror movie I like. Is one
I
that's
totally
not
forgot
scary.
what I was gonna.
You were talking about the doorbell ringing. That shift.
Yeah, no. When I watched it last night, not last night, the night before. God, I had like it was late. I knew I had to get up early for work. I'd been a little sick.
Yeah.
I was like, I need my rest.
Yeah.
but I cannot go to sleep right
No.
now. So I had to read my book that I'm reading.
Yeah.
I like had to switch over to like just a sci-fi, like
Just like calm you down.
just like, okay, let's just read this for like a chapter.
tired, yeah.
yeah.
And then it's like, okay, now I can go to sleep.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
damn.
it is crazy. I mean, so they let her in. They make the
She's
I
like-
think all three of us agree ill-gotten decision to make her
Yes.
let her come in the house.
Should have never let her in.
She's like, I forgot something in the basement.
And when she
What?
even comes up to the door, they should have not
You
let
should
her
have
in the
seen
house.
her.
But they also should have been like, if when she said, "I need to get something," you'd be like, "Okay, I got you. Where is it?
What is it?
Yeah,
Can I go get it for you?
And then close the door, lock it, and go get it, whatever
Right.
it is.
And then leave
I mean,
it out.
obviously, the thing that she needed was not something you just go
Of course,
get.
but
Yeah.
like even in that little frame of a Nest,
Because
analog
the door's
screen.
partially opened, like too. It's like she like has it closed, like as if like when you have a chain on the door, it's like that much open.
Yeah, and that's how creepy it is. Also,
Yeah.
someone peeking their face in the chain door.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got like little sores on her mouth. Like she looks beat up.
Did
Yeah.
she?
Like yeah, she does.
She had cuts on her face before she got
before
more
anything.
cuts.
Yeah,
I don't even remember
she
that.
looked fucked
Yeah.
up. Like she looked like
I
she's
just remember
been
she
through
looked
some shit.
crazy, but I didn't like actually.
She has cuts on her face.
Ooh.
She looks scary, man. Like
Yeah.
like a whole different person. Like you don't even.
She does look like a
recognize
whole
her.
different.
I didn't recognize
thought,
her at first.
I thought they got a different actress.
Right. That's how well it was portrayed.
It was fantastic.
How she was and now how she is. Now she's back to being quote unquote low class.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they let her in, and she just, I just forgot something in the basement.
Yeah, and they have this awesome shot that's the camera is over in the living room. So the house is basically set up where the living room is right by the garden.
Yeah.
And there's these huge windows. And then when you walk further into the house from the front door, there is the kitchen and then the staircase up. So
Yeah.
the camera is in the living room essentially, and you can see in the foreground the Kim
Mrs.
family.
Kim,
the
family
rest of the Kim
on the
family.
stairs.
Like hiding in the stairs and,
And
like
you can see
around the
Mrs.
corner.
Kim walk the old housekeeper
Down the
through the
stairs.
kitchen, and like you just by seeing both things and having the housekeeper not look, you can see how tense this scene is already going to
Yeah.
be.
It's
Like-
miserable. It's like
'Cause
borderline
they're literally
miserable.
right there. If the new housekeeper were to turn her head, she would see the family.
Right.
So
There's
at-
no hiding them at this
No.
point because
Yeah.
they haven't hidden yet. It's everything's happened too quickly for them to be like, we should hide.
Right.
They're like right at the staircase, aren't they?
Yeah.
At this
fuck.
point, I'm like, oh god! Like whenever she's like, okay, I'm going to the basement, and the mom is like, okay, and she doesn't go with her.
Right.
I'm like, good on you not going with her. She was gonna murder you.
Yeah.
That's my first thought. Was like, this housekeeper's come to murder her
I thought that too. I
and
thought
get
that
her
was
job back.
She feel like she
because she's crazy.
she is deranged.
yeah.
She laughs.
She laughs maniacally, not just like a giggle, like a fucking maniacal laugh.
A la the Joker.
A la the Joker. Haven't
Yeah.
seen it, but sure.
Well, you know the character.
Yeah, right. Sorry, it's not the Todd Phillips Joker. I know the general.
Yeah,
Joke.
I'm not gonna try and do it.
So
but-
then you have that great shot of Mrs. Kim sitting at the kitchen table, waiting for the original housekeeper to come back up from downstairs,
and everyone
some
else is
time
looking at her
passes.
like, what's
It's
going
clearly
on?
been too long for her to be down there, and like you see Kevin like flap the tree, like the
Trying to
leaf
get
of a
attention.
tree, to like get Mrs. Kim like what's going on. You know, they gesture at each other, and then
And then
Mrs.
he-
Kim goes downstairs.
Which I thought was dumb.
Terrible.
At first.
I mean, that's classic horror movie shit. Like, why are you
Yeah.
going towards
I feel
that?
like after a
But
certain
in
amount,
reality, like if you were in that situation,
You
would
have
you
to go.
Would you feel scared to go down there? It wouldn't cross my
I'm
mind.
I feel like at a certain point in time,
I guess maybe in that scenario because they've just ruined a person's life.
yeah. But I feel like after a certain period of time of her waiting for her, they could have realistically brought in Mr. Kim,
Yeah.
where she's like, I don't know what's going on, like and like talk to the housekeeper or whatever, like why he's there. The explanation being, I got a little freaked out with this whole situation, so I can't call the family, so I called Mr. Kim
Right.
to have
Maybe,
him
yeah.
have him come and just back me up. And then at that point, she would have at least had some backup that was visible,
Right.
instead of just having the family off to the side like they were,
Right.
watching around every corner.
Right.
But yeah, so then we go downstairs and we see she's trying to push a book, like a cabinet.
And that's a wonderful shot, by
It's
the
a
way.
huge
like,
cabinet.
Oh yeah, with
That is
her
a
like
great shot.
She
straight
comes
up
down
suspended.
the stairs. So she's coming down the stairs.
Shout
she
out
looks
the stunt coordinators.
looks to her right. Nothing's there. And then as she looks left, the audio of the original housekeeper starts to pan up, and we hear this immense like struggling sound,
and
like,
grunting.
you know, like, and then Mrs. Kim looks to her left, and here, like, suspended between the wall and
So
a cabinet
crazy. Imagine being in that position.
is the original.
That'd be hard.
She's the original housekeeper. Yep. She is flush, her arms against a cabinet and her legs against a wall. She's parallel to the ground.
She's like 5 feet above the ground.
Right.
Yeah, she walked herself up that high.
Trying to push this cabinet off of what we now know is a door.
Yeah, slide
Where?
it past the secret door.
Right. So she's like, please come help me. Please come help me.
And you're like,
at that point, why the fuck are you helping her?
I guess at that point, the situation's so weird. You're
so
just like,
weird. Yeah.
It's like a lot of curiosity, too.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, and she's also like still probably in character as the housekeeper at this point. So she's like,
so Mrs. Kim dashes over,
okay,
helps her. There's a plate stuck underneath the dresser. She pulls the plate out.
It's like a
the
grilling
cabinet,
pan or something.
Thumps against the wall. The original housekeeper falls, like cracks.
Face first.
It looks like she hurts herself.
She definitely does.
Well,
hitting
she does
like a
get more,
stone.
Her face does get more fucked up.
True. So she hits a stone step, and then falls on the ground. And Mrs. Kim, oh, are you okay? Are you okay? And she's just like muttering nonsensically to herself.
She like laughs too, doesn't she?
Yeah, of course. She's laughing. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
She's giggling and muttering nonsensically, and then it reveals there's a staircase behind that cabinet.
Yes.
There's a door and then a staircase.
Yes.
She opens the door, and then she goes down the stairs, and then you see a reaction shot of Mrs. Kim, like, what the fuck have I gotten myself into?
What the fuck is this door? Where did this come from? What's going on?
And like these shots in these stairways, there are more of them throughout the film. They're
horror movie shots.
Some of the most
reminds me of like Hostel.
Terrifying, claustrophobic, breathless shots I've seen in years.
Yeah, it's all just like dank concrete, like dimly lit.
Yeah, it's like neon green concrete with like the actors who are in the staircase are breathing heavily.
Yeah.
There's no
Everybody
music.
looks dirtier down
it's
there.
just footsteps and breath.
My whole note for whenever the basement is revealed is just basement, what the fuck?
With 3 exclamation points.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was just like,
Well, yeah, to be fair.
Right. And the thing is,
It's supposed to just be a panic bunker, essentially.
Right.
As they say, if North Korea ever bombs them, that's what it was
you gotta have a
designed
bunker, yeah. So as soon as that door opens to the staircase, you hear the original housekeeper shout, honey,
yeah.
right? And then you know, like,
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Who is living
are we
under
in
this
for?
house now?
So now we know there's a person beneath this
The old
house.
housekeeper's husband.
And it turns out it's the old housekeeper's husband.
He's been, and also, yeah, so the old housekeeper husband is under there. He's been living there for years.
For 4 years.
For 4 years, he's been living down there with her, like, sneaking him food.
Right.
And, like, they're like, you've been stealing food from the Parker? She's like, no, I've been buying the food or whatever,
Right.
which I think is a lie because the Parkers even talk about how the housekeeper eats so much.
Yeah.
She eats enough for two people.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a lie for her to
In the
try
moment.
and be like, oh, no, he's just hiding here.
Right.
So apparently the old architect built the basement thing as a bunker for nuclear war.
But was embarrassed by it.
But the main thing was that they made it as a haven if like debt collectors come. Mm-hmm. So that can be the place you go to hide when debt collectors break into your house.
Right.
And he was ashamed of it.
Right.
So he never told the Parker family.
Right. Park family.
Park family. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I'm on Drake and Josh Parker. So he never told the Park family about it. So she just hid her husband down there.
Right.
Because he's in debt to loan sharks.
Right.
Who are still looking for him apparently after 4 years
after the fact. Yeah. And I mean that little sequence, like as the original housekeeper tumbles down the stairs looking for her husband, screaming for him.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Kim, like befuddlingly follows her.
Yeah.
Because like, what the fuck do you do at that point besides follow this crazy
Well, she had
woman?
to figure out what was going on, and it's
Right.
not like she could ask for backup from her family because
Right.
they're not supposed to be there.
Right. So she sprints down the stairs after the original housekeeper. Turns out there's like this weird little bunker down there where her husband has been living in squalor
For like 4 years.
4 years. And she
New beers just got brought in, by the way.
Yeah, sorry. I wanted another IPA, but I don't care.
Oh, I thought you wanted a Terrapin next.
Yeah, it's fine. I did say that. I'm wrong. Anyway, so
All right. Well,
this shot, right? This scene is wonderful. No, it's okay. Leave it. It's fine. This
Okay,
shot.
I'm gonna crack real quick,
Yeah,
so it's
please,
gonna be.
do it.
All right, cool. All right.
So this shot, this whole sequence, even not even just the shot, where Mrs. Kim when she pretends to act like offended that the original housekeeper would do this
Yeah.
to the Park
Hide
family.
her husband.
Like, how dare
feed
you?
him food.
I'm gonna call the police on you.
Which
like,
she should have.
what kind of parasite are you?
Did
to
she
do
say
this?
that?
No.
Oh,
That's
okay.
just me.
But yeah,
I'm
that's the
editorializing.
exact part that
That's what it is.
You're
though.
right.
Both families are parasites.
And that's the best part.
You're
right,
right,
So
but I thought that line would be way too over.
it's way
for this
too
kind
on
of.
the nose.
Okay, so good. Yeah.
No, it's not a real thing. So they're going back and forth. Like the older housekeeper calls her sis as like, I think like we're on the same level.
So
And Mrs. Kim is like, no, we're fucking not. Don't
Don't
call me sis. Like, how dare you feign to do this to this wonderful family? Meanwhile, her whole family is lined up on the stairs down to the basement trying to listen to what is happening.
being idiots about how they're standard.
Dumb.
so dumb.
And then,
Standard.
of course, at that point, you know something bad's going to happen.
Yeah,
I
they
think it's
slip.
Kevin slips.
Yeah, he slips. His foot slips on.
He's
the,
a klutz, by
Kevin's
the way.
a fucking klutz. So Kevin slips, tumbles into his dad, who tumbles down the fucking stairs. Then all of a sudden, all three of them are on the floor.
Rolling around, being like, "Dad, what the fuck?
Dad,
Mom,
my
what
ankle.
the hell?"
Dad, my ankle. And then the old housekeeper picks up on Dad.
Yeah,
She's filming it. But
she starts
Yeah,
filming.
Phone out. It's 2019.
Yeah.
We're fucking phones out.
Of course,
2020 now.
In
film
South Korea.
2019.
Right. Film 2019. Came out 2019.
Yeah.
Hold on. Quick. Can break.
Let me know how you like
Nice.
it.
I
It's
will.
pretty good. You haven't had it before?
No, I haven't. It's
Oh, yeah, we didn't-
For those interested, Terrapin Luau Passion Fruit Orange Guava IPA.
Yeah, I think I've had it on a Ned Pod already.
that sounds good.
But yeah, we didn't actually mention that we were drinking this time. I've had a
We're
Cigar
gonna
City
drink pretty much every episode.
of everything. I've had a Cigar City Lager, and I also had a Terrapin too.
And the beers, the two I was drinking before this were Definitive Brewing Company Insensitive Evolving Double Dry Hopped IPA series. This is a
Non-filtered.
a brewery from Portland, Maine. That was a very good beer. I have two more
I have just been drinking Bud Light.
piss water.
I don't have anything good for today, so
We're disappointed in
To
you,
be
Trevor.
fair, my
not-
stash is
hey.
extremely low.
that's not my fault.
Do you have a car?
We picked Bud Light together. What do you mean?
Do you wait? Do you have a car?
I do, but when
Do you have a driver's license?
I do.
Are you 21?
And we
Yes.
have
It is your fault.
When I came last night,
we have a
I
Moo
was
Moo's right
expecting
down the
you to
street.
be grabbing. You were like, "I'm
That's
going to grab
true.
you beer," and I'm
To
like,
be fair,
I did attempt to grab you beer. There were no sours there.
"Well, that's unfortunate."
It is unfortunate.
Will
Sorry.
did guarantee
No.
us beer last night.
I did, and I had a migraine, and I had a lack of beer selection at my local gas station. Shout out to Rally's, 22nd North St. Pete. Great craft beer selection. It's a gas station.
Is that the one off 4th Street?
Yes.
But
I've
anyway,
been there.
this has been our beer pause because
Yeah.
in every podcast
Time
we
out.
ever do, we always have to say what our beer is for some
Time
reason.
in.
I'm gonna have better ones for next time. I promise.
But yeah, so they have just revealed themselves to the old housekeeper.
Yeah, and then the mom immediately is like, "Sis, come on," and then the old housekeeper's like, "Nah, fuck you. Don't call me sis.
Yeah,
Y'all are awful to the Park family."
yeah.
And it's just like, oh my god.
The roles have reversed.
I believe she says, "Fuck you, you filthy, nasty bitch,"
Yes, I believe you are correct.
which I loved.
So now she's getting back at him because she's probably also pieced together
She
at
knows.
least a
She
little
gets
bit that they ruined her life.
Yeah, well, no, she does because remember, she's like at first when the driver was fired, it was kind of strange.
Yeah.
and she didn't understand, and then now she's really piecing together that this whole thing was an elaborate ruse.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It's insane. So
it cuts to them upstairs.
it cuts to them upstairs, and because she's threatening them, she's like, "Y'all stay right there, or I'm gonna hit send." She's already got the video in a message ready to go to Miss Park.
I think it was to the son, right? Because she said she was still texting him.
I think that's how she found out that they were not going to be home.
Oh, yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay,
I think she was going to text the video though to Miss Park.
yeah, that makes sense.
And she was like, "I'm going to do it." And then they go upstairs, and she's got her husband on the couch.
He's chilling. He hasn't been up for 4 years.
Yeah, he's
Is
been
whatever,
down
4
in
years
that-
and some months.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like maybe at some point.
That's what they say. They said he's been down there that long. I mean, I don't know if it's uninterrupted, but that's how they kind of broach it.
I guess, yeah, but I feel like at some point the Park family would have left because they even state later on in the movie that they leave every year and do the son's birthday somewhere else.
True,
because
yeah.
of his trauma of his birthday when he was 1 year old.
Yeah, I don't know. No, not 1 year old. You could see him in the flashback, and he's not a baby.
God, I don't know. At some point,
He's probably like 4 or something, 3 or 4.
yeah, a couple years ago or whatever, they there was trauma. Which
Man,
was,
if you were stuck down in that bunker, though, you'd be fucked.
I mean, he is fucked.
No wonder that guy is so disgusting.
that guy is crazy. So that, but he's got like plumbing and stuff. I assume there's a shower somewhere down there.
Yeah, they don't show a shower, I don't
They
think.
show a toilet, but they don't show a shower. But I don't know. If I'm gonna build a bunker, I'm putting a fucking shower in there.
For sure.
Like at the very least, like a chemical shower of some sort.
But yeah, so they are now basically holding the Kim family hostage in the living room. They're basically, she's videotaping, the old housekeeper's videotaping them with like their hands up, like kneeling in the corner.
And the husband's got her old phone. No, her husband's got the phone, and he's like, "This is like a nuclear bomb button."
Yeah.
And then the
It
wife,
essentially is.
then the old housekeeper makes this whole joke about
North Korea.
North Korea, and like he was so distraught over hearing about.
Yeah, she's pretending to be a North Korean news anchor. And
Yeah.
he loves it.
Yeah, they're digging it. So, and then eventually though, they get so distracted with their whole like threatening thing that they like hold the phone away or like have it on a different screen. I think maybe that's when she starts filming them.
Yeah.
And like, so she takes it off of the messenger screen and starts filming them with their hands up. They rush them.
Yeah.
They rush them hard. Like, nope.
And it's an extremely physical fight that happens.
Mm-hmm.
The housekeeper ends up hitting both Kim and Jessica with with a bottle over their heads, which doesn't break. So you know it's like that had to hurt a lot.
That's thick glass.
That's a thick glass bottle. It's a real glass bottle. I feel like a real glass bottle would not break that easily on someone's head.
Yeah, it's like a whiskey bottle.
Yeah, and it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. I mean, the only reason bottles break over people's heads in movies is because it's sugar glass.
Yeah, it's fake. So, yeah, she hits the bottle over their heads, and then Jessica immediately runs and goes gets peaches out of the fridge.
Oh, that's such a good part.
I thought that... So there's multiple times where I think the old housekeeper is dead.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be one of them, literally rubbing a whole peach on her face.
She
I
didn't
was like,
get that fucked up.
Not even a whole peach, a bag
of peaches
Yeah.
on her face. I'm like, she's going to die. This is it. This is her dead. And now they have to get rid of a body and deal with the husband, probably kill him or something.
Which I don't know if we mentioned this earlier in the film, the way they found out that she was allergic to peaches is because like the daughter had like mentioned how she wanted peaches, and
Yeah.
he was like, why don't we just get some? And she's like, oh, we can't have them in the house, they're forbidden.
Yeah.
Because she's allergic. And then he was like, oh, okay. And it's just
Locked
like
it
those
away.
it's like those small little comments that they were able to
Pick
find
up
ways
on and
to like fuck people over, basically.
Scrape some
Sorry, I
peach
had to-
fuzz
I
off
had to
and put it
mention
in a
just
pen
'cause
cap. And
It's
just
like so clever. It's so clever.
oh my God. That whole sequence of with the peaches was amazing, with the taking photos at the hospital, the pen cap, the whole nine
Yeah,
yards.
it's immaculate. I was taking a selfie for my wife.
With my
That's why
wife,
I have
yeah.
a selfie for the of the fucking housekeeper.
Lame. It's like half his face and it's mainly her.
We got to assume that he's like, no, this is the cropped version.
Right.
Or something. But like, he doesn't even have like the full photo. I would have been like, oh, here's the full photo, but then that would be the housekeeper, and that's the whole whatever. But Jesus, the peaches, I was like, she's dead.
Yeah.
100%. And then she's not. And they take her and the husband back down into the basement.
Well, first they get the call.
Yeah, they get the call. So how did they subdue them, though?
They were just beating each. Well, they were being held basically in like just different wrestling holds, like by the Kim family.
Okay, and then that's when we get the call. She goes and checks, and it's like, hey, we're going to be home in 8 minutes. Can you make
Just
some...
like super chill.
whatever the ramen dish is, I forget.
Ramadan.
Ramdon. Which looked really good, by the way.
Well, I don't know if she even make it right. She essentially just made ramen with steak.
I think that's what it
sirloin
is.
in it. It looked great, whatever it was, but
I think that's why she had her phone whenever they were like,
yeah, she was looking up the
start
recipe.
cleaning, and so she had been like looking up the recipe and then ran into the kitchen, looked at it, and then threw it on the counter.
Yeah.
and
Meanwhile,
started pulling out
the
stuff.
daughter is cleaning up the downstairs, like pushing glass with her arms underneath the
sofa
the couches,
and all sorts of stuff.
And then the son runs back upstairs to put the journal away, and then the dad is trying to bring them downstairs.
Kim
subdue
and
them
Kevin both are trying to put him in the basement first.
Oh, right,
and
and he runs away.
The dad Kim ties up the husband while he's laughing or something.
Yeah.
And then
Fuck that
Kevin's
creepy
trying
bitch.
to drag the wife.
Original housekeeper.
She's not unconscious yet.
Not yet.
Or a little bit unconscious. I don't know.
Not
Something.
yet.
Oh, she's reacting to the peaches still. So she's
Yeah.
like kind of limp.
Yeah.
So he's trying to drag her and he can't. So then Kim comes running up and is like, you go help your sister. I got her. And so he runs and that's when he gets the journal and then sprints upstairs to
Yeah.
put that away. And at some point,
They come home.
they come home.
They come home at that moment, pretty much.
Right. And then
he's upstairs.
He's upstairs putting the journal away.
Mr. Kim's in the basement. Mrs. Kim is cooking in the kitchen, and the daughter
Jessica.
is just finishing pushing the stuff underneath
The coffee table and the couch.
She's even continuing to push stuff as they're coming in. Like it's
Yes.
like it's
You
like
see
these
the
last
lights.
bits.
You see the lights lighting up as they walk up the stairs.
Dude, when you hear
Jessica,
when the
like-
parents are sitting on the couch a little bit later and they're like, "What's that smell?" I'm like,
The worst.
Oh,
So Jessica like slips under the coffee table in the living room, and then the original housekeeper tries to come back up the stairs.
Yeah.
Mrs. Kim fucking Spartan kicks
Kicks
her
her-
ass down the staircase.
and she smacks her head.
concrete, like
Thumps her fucking head. I thought she was dead.
I thought
I
I
thought she was
thought
dead.
broken neck because the way she landed,
Yeah,
her head was
horrible.
up. I was like, she's totally dead.
But then I didn't think she died when he pulled her away and there was no blood visibly on the concrete.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, so it didn't completely smash her skull in.
No, but I thought it was a broken neck, which doesn't really bleed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. Yeah, no, I mean, it was just like...
And then
It looked bad.
At some
looked
point,
bad.
whenever he's like
It was also
trying to
very graphic
drag
and
her
real.
at that point, he like checks her breath because he's
Yeah.
like trying to pull her and he's like, is she dead? And then checks her breath and she's not. And I'm like, bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
I
Is there
believe
some
it.
sort of like South Korean movie making thing where people can't die like that on screen or something?
Probably not.
No, obviously not. But at that
Probably
point,
not.
at this point, I'm thinking, because like there's a whole thing in China. Like I know South Korea is not near as bad as like South Korea is like pretty democratic.
Now I'm
Yeah.
actually thinking of some
I'm thinking of,
Korean
like-
films I'm going to show you guys.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
same.
They're
I was
action
like
films,
in
though.
China, and like they have the whole thing with like no skeletons, no decapitation, all this stuff. So I'm
No,
like,
Korea
is there
doesn't have
something
that
weird in Korea? I didn't know. So I was like, okay, fucking bullshit. She's not dead.
Right.
He drags her at least down the stairs a little bit.
He gets her far enough into the staircase where he can close the cabinet.
Yes, he cranks it closed and takes the indoor crank. So the reason the husband wasn't able to get out by himself earlier was that something was wedged under it. But he has a crank inside to
That he would
open.
normally be able to get out with.
Yeah.
Yes. So he takes that and pushes the door closed and hides the crank away and then heads upstairs. And on the way out, like, well, the kid, sorry, you guys go now. The upstairs situation. Kevin with the daughter.
Yeah, terrifying.
He's hiding under the bed.
He's stuck under the Park family daughter's bed because he walked upstairs to put the diary back that he had taken. And they cut to this scene after the whole staircase fiasco of the Park daughter laying on the bed.
That
And
overhead shot.
There's
man.
a little dog who's halfway under the bed,
Was
wagging her tail.
For me, the most tension was whenever they have that straight up and down shot of the dot, like from overhead of the daughter
Yeah.
flopping onto the bed with the headphones on, thank God, and him clicking that cabinet thing closed and then whoop back under there, and then we a little bit later we had the dog thing.
Yeah. So another one of those
When
moments,
she almost looked under the bed.
Yeah.
Oh my God, she was
It's
so close.
Yet again, another moment where you think the jig is up because Kevin is under the bed fully, and the little dog, is half under the bed looking at him,
And barking.
and he is, kind of like trying to shoo the dog away. Obviously,
And
doesn't
all
work.
he does when she gets up from the bed is he just rolls over. I'm like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
he just changes his look.
He, like, covers
looks
his
the other
face.
way.
Looking away doesn't do anything.
No, you're still under the
I don't
bed.
understand why he didn't, since the bed is a skirt, I don't understand why he didn't get out from under the bed, go to the other side of the bed skirt, so you're hidden by at least that.
Yeah, it would have still been his hand and foot showing because that skirt didn't touch the floor.
Yeah, but I don't think she would have really
It would have been
noticed.
harder
I mean,
to see at
maybe-
least.
All the way down.
Yeah, depending on how much you're really focusing
True.
on, like, the other side of the bed.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know?
Anyway,
Would
tense
have been
moment.
better than turning.
Incredibly tense moment.
Tense moment, and then as she's going to lift the bed skirt up and look under, something happens, and she
I
goes
think someone downstairs calls, or
Yeah.
someone downstairs calls or something
She
like
goes
that.
downstairs, leaves the room.
Yeah, she goes and talks to her
So
mom.
through all kinds of
The mom has finished eating and she's come upstairs and she hears the mom and is like, why the fuck didn't you offer me the Ramadan? I love that stuff. And she's like, oh, blah, 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 whatever.
Classic
Yeah.
teenage girl thing, though.
Right.
Like, everything revolves around me.
Right.
Yeah.
So through all that craziness, they somehow manage to get out of the apartment.
Well, we have the whole scene where they all manage to get downstairs and they're pulling Jessica out from under the coffee table, and then they're all under the coffee table at that point because
so they're about to leave.
Yes,
and all of a sudden, the Park's son is running downstairs with a teepee in his hands because he wants to go outside in their beautiful yard
while it's raining.
While it's pouring rain, and set up a teepee to hang out.
He sets it right up.
Yeah, he does it.
He sets it up really fast.
I forgot about this completely. So then the whole Kim family, minus the mother, who's gone off to her room to sleep because the Park parents say, we'll take care of it. Yeah. Go to bed.
So, and she's still looking. She's still like...
So Mr. Kim, Kevin, and Jessica are now all three under the coffee table.
It's so tense.
Ridiculous.
And the whole rest of the family, too, the Mr. and Mrs. Park and the daughter at first are like...
Are all in the living room.
And the daughter is like texting Kevin, like, oh my God, like, and sends him a video, like, oh my God,
I thought
look.
that would be the thing that got them.
Dom, what's his name? Dom something? Or, I don't know, whatever. The son's name. He's out in the yard, look at this, and then texts him, and she hears his phone vibrate, but the mom, luckily, at that exact moment, coughs.
Yeah.
To, like, slightly cover it up, and then he's like...
That was well done.
That was so good.
How did she know to cough then?
She probably heard a phone vibrate and just went, that might... just real quick.
Fuck.
I think it's happenstance. I don't think it was.
I thought it was happenstance.
You think it was happenstance?
Yeah.
It could have been. You know what? You're probably right.
It's probably happenstance. I don't think she would assume that Kevin is in the room with her.
And like he has vibrating.
No, because it was his mom. It was Kevin's mom that coughed.
Yeah, true.
So I feel like that was like a very quick thing between that could have been happenstance or
or
quick
premeditation.
thinking.
Yeah. So they get stuck under this table.
Yeah.
Because the son wants to hang out outside.
And the parents are like
going camping.
The parents decide, well, it's best for us to sleep on the couch.
We can look at him
and watch him sleep out in the tent
and have some hot sex.
Yeah, so then they get to like nipple play and penis play and like do you have those dirty panties? Like it's like all this weird.
Yeah, he wants her to wear the panties they found in the car.
And then she's
Why
like,
do they still have them?
Yeah, she's like,
probably because he was like,
buy me drugs.
Buy me drugs.
Yeah.
They're pretending to be lower class essentially,
It's role play,
And that's also whenever they start really.
Yeah, because he calls them cheap panties.
They also start ragging hard on Mr. Kim's smell. Mm-hmm. And like it smells like an old radish or when you boil a washcloth.
Yep.
First of all, when have you, sir, Mr. Park, ever boiled a washcloth?
Never.
He has never.
Never.
But so like they start ragging on him and he like it's kind of funny almost. It's sad, but it's also funny where
it's
like
sad.
It's sad as fuck.
I think it's sad.
Because he does it a bunch of times.
They talk about their smell all the time.
All the time.
And every single time is uncomfortable
because
and sad.
The daughter, well that's the thing too, like is
early
on the daughter mentions, is this actually your sister? All right, is it actually your cousin, right? To Kevin and Jessica, remember when?
Is it your girlfriend?
Is this your girlfriend? So there's already that hint.
But also the son.
The son is like they smell the same.
The driver and
the housekeeper. So Mr. and Mrs. Kim smell the same.
And he says they smell the same as my teacher.
They smell the same as Jessica. Yeah.
So it's like another thing, like oh shit. So they keep bringing up this sense of smell, regards to poor people, like they smell different.
It's really fucked.
Which. That's dumb.
But it keeps happening.
No, but it makes sense. It makes probably.
It makes sense that they all smell the same, but it doesn't make sense that all poor people smell the same.
No, I think
less expensive bath things. Yeah. Less access to running water.
But different flavored scents. I don't know.
And it's the sub basement thing.
Sub basement.
The sub basement definitely probably imparts a smell on them.
Right.
I'm not going to doubt that for a second.
Because they mention it again after.
The sun incident.
Again, jumping ahead, but like when they're all back organizing for the garden party, and Mr. Kim is driving, she has her feet up on the back of the seat.
Like her feet don't smell.
Feet don't smell. First
of all,
which
to be fair, they probably don't.
She does the little. She does the.
And then has to roll the window down.
Rolls the window down, and it's him.
Yeah.
And again, he does the little.
To be fair,
check my armpit.
That is after they've escaped and they've walked
through
the
sewage water.
The sewer water.
Which I was thinking they probably didn't. How would they be able to even shower?
They did not get cleaned up enough, I don't think.
Because they got free clothes.
You can shower at that shelter, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Wait, it was a gymnasium.
But
I guess if they have like a locker room.
No, I think they got a shower, but I don't think it was a good enough shower. So that's where my thought came from, that she was still smelling a bit of sewer on him.
Yeah.
But like, he takes it as like that's just his generic smell. She has ridden in a car with him and has never noticed the smell before.
But then it also goes back to, again, at the end, again, skipping forward, when Mr. Park has to roll a body over to get the keys, he does the...
Also, that guy is almost dead. He's probably shitting himself.
Yeah, but also he's been living in a basement for 4 years.
That too.
You know,
It's
so
the
like
sub-basement
it
smell.
just runs him back to like that whole like
They think we smell
dirty.
that.
and that's like
Yeah.
the moment.
that's the moment
That is
Yeah.
the moment.
that we won't talk about yet.
Yeah. So they're the parents
Almost there.
We're on
like
the coffee
start
table.
touching each other,
Hey,
and
fuck.
like the wife's like, no, don't, because he might come back in, and he's like,
I'll just pull my
And then
hand.
she says, "Do it clockwise." He was doing the counterclockwise move.
Lots
before
of
that.
very specific.
I
fetish things.
loved that the clockwise thing.
course
That
you
was
did.
so no, come on.
No,
Hey.
I mean it was all very specific, and it was. I mean, it was classic. I thought they
It
did
seems
it well.
like something
Yeah.
a rich person would say,
But
like,
they
no, I
also-
want
And
it
then he
clockwise.
was like, "Oh, right there."
I feel like they also did it more normal than like it didn't seem like movie sex.
no, it didn't
No.
have to be fucking nasty.
Like they also didn't actually fuck.
no, they didn't. They just like played with each other.
yeah.
no nudity.
No,
No nudity
Yeah.
at all.
I really
no.
thought we were gonna get at least a nipple.
Yeah,
No
about
nipple.
as
She
tasteful as you
unbuttoned
can
her
do it.
shirt,
Yeah.
but like it wasn't all the way. It was like one more button so he could move his hand under.
Right.
Like we got a lot of side boob. We never
But
got
also,
a nipple.
Obviously, they weren't going to get naked because if they mention it, if the kid backs in,
Yeah.
they need to be able to like quickly get out of this.
Yeah.
You know, but no, I mean they did it tastefully.
Yeah,
It did catch me off guard though.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
yeah. And then you like cut to that.
Also because you don't see, it never looks like that in movies.
no,
Like
never.
usually when there's a sex scene, it's just a full on sex.
You're on a
scene.
bed. You're naked.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It was like a very real sex scene almost.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Mr. Kim with his hand over his eyes and his face under the table.
Oh yeah.
As they have sex, more or less, right next to the whole family.
Yeah, you just hear them like
Yeah.
saying shit to each other.
Yeah.
About like being low class.
Right.
yeah.
And it's
Buy
just,
me drugs.
just getting
Wear
off.
the cheap panties. It's
You
just like,
bitch.
this is my whole fucking life. Like, what do you?
I live
what-
this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Mr. Kim does drugs, but,
anyway,
cheap panties for sure.
They fall asleep, and the wife, Mrs. Kim, she basically signals to them like, "Hey, you guys should leave. They're all out cold."
Yeah.
And they're like,
So
okay,
they
cool.
try to make their escape.
So Jessica and Kevin both,
Middle of the night.
they like ninjas. They're just like, and like that quick step, and they were gone. They were out. And then Mr. Kim, who is older, can't really do these kind of like quick moves.
But why was he sliding like that? I don't understand why he didn't just get up. He was like army crawling, not even like just
Gotta get out of
sliding his
there.
whole body out.
It was
Yeah.
wild, like, and it was so much louder. He was just like that. Not the squeaking was obviously a joke, but like the fabric rubbing sound was so much. I guess maybe they boosted it for the movie, but it was so loud. It sounded like
Yeah, but this is the part where we mentioned earlier where we thought they were gonna get caught, where you see his feet in shot,
Yeah.
and they're talking to their son on the walkie-talkie, like
because he
looking
wakes
at him
up
through
and
the window.
immediately goes
He's like, "I can't
emergency,
sleep."
emergency, and they're
Right.
like,
Oh
What?
shit! He
What?
saw them.
what
yeah.
the fuck? And he's like, I can't sleep, and I'm like, oh my god, kid, what the? You're giving me a heart attack, like.
Because all you see from the all you see from the moonlight is the feet,
The feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
the feet coming. through
His
the
very
darkness.
dirty feet, quite honestly, which is
Right.
probably on
How
purpose.
dare
He's
you,
poor.
Trevor?
Yeah,
He's poor.
it's a
Trevor.
it's-
I'm just kidding, but
I mean, once again, just like
it's the little details.
how fucking masterful can this film possibly be?
Do you think that was in the storyboard?
100%.
Oh, also, we almost forgot during that whole moment. The husband downstairs, Morse coding out, "Help me."
Right.
With his head.
Right.
And-
And that's a whole different thing we haven't talked about yet. The fucking Morse code.
The Morse
light
code
bulbs.
thing, and also,
Yeah, he has he has 3 switches in the basement, each basically being connected to a light on the stairwell,
Right.
which is supposed to be in quotes automated.
Automated, yeah.
But it's actually every single time him doing it manually with usually his fist. But
As
with
a
his
show
head.
of respect to Mr. Park,
who feeds
who
him and
feeds
houses
him
him
and houses him.
without him knowing.
Yeah, he constantly talks about this respect that he has.
Yeah,
for
respect!
Mr. Park.
Yeah.
That's the last thing he says is
That's
respect.
the last thing he says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Respect.
so, also, this
like,
is at
what
this
the
point,
fuck?
the housekeeper has woken up
Yeah.
and managed to get her way down and ripped
And
a little
died.
bit of the. She's like, I got a concussion. I can't see you.
Yeah. She's throwing up in the toilet.
Out like a light.
Yeah, and then she just dies in front of her husband.
Her husband, who's going nuts on
Yeah.
the fucking
And
rope tie around
He's
his mouth.
still
Bound.
but at a certain point with the Morse code, he's bound at his arms, but he's
Yeah.
able to stand.
just smashing his fucking head into the blood.
Bleeding.
Why is he doing it so hard?
bleeding.
Because he's crazy.
Gotta get the message across.
Which also, jumping ahead a little bit, we find out that he is the reason that the kid has trauma to begin with.
Yeah. Also, that is a true horror scene.
Yeah.
That is horror.
Him coming out of the fucking
It's something you'd
dark
see actually in like
staircase.
Japanese horror.
Yeah. So yeah,
The kid's eating his cake on the floor in the kitchen late at night with no one else around.
It's been alluded to since the very first art lesson with Jessica.
The trauma.
The
and the
park son
schizophrenia
has some trauma.
Yeah.
The trauma turns out to be the original housekeeper's husband coming up late night for some food.
But it scared him enough to trigger a seizure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. If you're a
is
small
fucked.
child? I mean, if
Is
he's
that a
prone,
thing that
if
can
he's prone to
happen?
seizures, then that's gonna happen. That was cool.
Is that a thing that can actually happen though?
I think so. That makes sense. And yeah, just like, but you see his like head coming up from below the floor level, and then just those eyes.
Just an amazing.
It's
They're
like these,
so
it's these
white.
piercing, like really light colored eyes that I feel like you wouldn't normally see in a Korean person.
Yeah.
Like usually Korean people have like brown eyes generally.
Yeah.
So he has extremely like light blue eyes.
Yeah.
And
that
but
white
they look
and
so
just-
piercing in the relation of the darkness.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
the kid thought
horrifying.
he was a monster.
Yeah, and the
Or
kid thought
ghost
a
in
ghost
this
or
case.
something, and then just freaked the fuck out, and then had a seizure.
Right. And that also plays into the final scene of the film as well.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, you only have 14 minutes to get your child treatment for a
Right.
seizure, which I think is true.
For a child, maybe.
I'm not sure.
I mean, not. For
I don't know
everybody.
enough about seizures to discuss the topic,
Yeah.
so
We can just leave it at that.
yeah, 14 minutes.
And
So
that time limit comes up later too.
yes,
Right.
and where were we at?
Leaving the house.
Yeah, they're leaving the house. So
Leaving the house, and
family-
yeah, I mentioned this earlier.
So the son comes in.
The son doesn't come in.
He stays in the tent.
He stays in the tent and goes back to sleep.
They
and
all
then
eventually fall asleep.
they fall back. They quickly go back to sleep, and then Mr. Kim inches his way the rest
Squeaks
of the way.
his way out.
And then they go through the garage
They get out
real
of the
quick,
house,
and
yeah.
they book it. They're
And
gone.
you have this fucking...
Which all these loud sounds that happen in the house, the family never hears.
The garage, garage doors are loud as fuck. They would have heard
moving
that.
that bookshelf would have been loud as fuck. At least the sound that they had in the actual movie.
Yeah, that
was
would have
a
been loud.
rumbling sound.
I mean, concrete house. Sound doesn't carry through concrete.
and I think the family just doesn't care.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I really
The
don't know.
garage door at least would have been enough.
But anyway, yeah, they escape through the garage door. It is pouring rain, and they're running down this hill. I thought they were gonna fall. Like it's a steep hill, and they're all barefoot.
No, Kevin's not, because we have that whole shot where he's like stops at the top of the stairs
Oh,
and looks
yeah,
down,
he
and
does
his
have
shoes
sneakers
getting
on.
soaked with
That's true.
the water from the stairwell.
I'm thinking of the dad,
The dad's barefoot, and I think the daughter might be.
maybe.
Either way, though, that shot
So good. That whole
fucking
sequence.
immaculate.
Yeah.
The descent from
From
their
high class to low class.
their high class moment where
It
they were
gets dirtier
drinking and
dirtier
eating
as you
and
go
just
down.
Like the whole sequence is just, it's the film encapsulated.
yes.
Like here's where the rich are,
and here's
and
where
then
the poor
here's
are.
where the poor are in fucking shit-filled water,
Literal.
smoking a cigarette on your toilet as shit water
That
'Cause you can't do anything
thunders
about it.
out.
that
around
shot
you.
She
It's
couldn't
amazing.
Do,
So
she couldn't do
amazing.
anything about it.
All she does is just nonchalantly lift her feet up on the toilet seat as like
The
shit
toilet's exploding.
sprays out of her toilet. Like
she gets hit in the face with like literal shit coming from the
It's
toilet
insane.
before she pulls it down, sits on it, and gets her cigarettes out from the ceiling tile. Just
and she's happy.
She's
She
like,
sees
"Oh, I
the
got-
cigarettes and she's like, thank God.
I got at
have
least
a
a
cigarette
cigarette.
to smoke.
And this girl is not that old. She's
No.
probably like what, 17?
18,
But
17?
she's probably been through this scenario before.
I don't
it's
know
what
if they've been through this.
I feel like that's what it makes it seem like. It's like because of how just like whatever they are about their house being destroyed. It's like
Yeah, true. The dad almost knows exactly what to grab.
he goes right for the medal
And some other
Olympic,
stuff.
Or I assume it's Olympic medal that the wife had won
Some sort of
for like
medal.
shot put. Is that what it was?
Hammer throw.
I have no idea what it
Hammer
was.
It's hammer throw.
She's an Olympic
Which
hammer
also-
thrower? Missed that.
I don't think it was
Yeah.
Olympic, but it was definitely competitive.
Some sort of competitive because it was framed and they had the nice photo of her.
Yeah, if it was Olympic, I think you'd
And
be...
there's that green water sloshing around in that frame.
But also, real
Yeah.
quick, back to the hammer throw. She does hammer throw in the yard whenever they're just chilling in the house.
And you hear
breaks,
a window break.
She breaks
Yeah.
someone's window. Just like,
Doesn't matter.
we're not going to address that?
No, fuck it. We're rich now.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to break a window on the house itself, and I was like, they're going to get caught for that.
That would have been bad. No, the other is somebody else's window. Who cares?
I would care a lot.
But yeah, so they have their flooded house, and they go to they pretty much they don't really take anything out. The son takes the rock. The
That was a
rock.
cool shot. The rock
metaphorical
lifting
rock.
out of the sewage water and like coming
Yeah.
into view.
And the husband takes the metal, and the girl doesn't take anything. I assume maybe cigarettes and her money.
The dad takes a few things. Whenever they're leaving, he's got like a box with a bunch of stuff on his shoulder.
Yeah.
So they take some stuff.
And they're like floating on a door or whatever.
Yeah,
that
they
is.
like paddle their
Yeah.
way out. Also, that transition from the shot of them
The overhead shot was good.
in the house to the overhead, like it was that water rising
At the end,
as like the shot change. That was so
the
good.
water in the house also was all the way up to street level, which was like where your neck would probably be at.
Yeah.
Neck
Yeah.
level. Like it was really high up.
He tried to close the window and got shocked at one point, which shows also how bad the electrical system is.
Yeah, the wiring is fucked.
It's fucking crazy.
But yeah, they escape and they go to sleep in a gym.
Yep.
And the
with-
dad's
with
like,
everyone else,
before
essentially
that,
packed.
even the dad's like, I got a plan. And then in
does
the
say
gym, the son's like, Dad, what's your plan? He's like,
The best plan is no plan.
yeah.
But yeah, they have like a little conversation about what the plan is in the gym, and basically the dad is saying that no plan is basically the best plan
Is the
is
best
no
plan.
plan.
Yeah.
And then it goes pretty much transitioned into them, the rich family, the Park family, being like, all right, we've transitioned this camping trip into a garden party.
Yeah.
And we're inviting all our friends nonchalant. We're just chilling.
Yeah.
It's obviously going to be a rush for all of our, in quote, like helpers.
Right.
But like,
But fuck them because
But
that's
it-
what we pay them for.
yeah, we're paying. They mention it multiple times, like we're
Yeah.
paying you extra.
Right.
So put on a happy face, basically.
And like this is,
But it's on a weekend, and it is
Last minute.
It's absolutely last minute. They're calling him morning of and saying
Right.
you have to
Hey,
have this ready
come
by
now.
1 p.m.
Yeah.
Like,
And like that's, I think, of all the incredible ways that they showcase the class divide in this film,
like as if you have nothing else going.
there's no better part than this sequence, right? So there's a ton of things. There is, come on over, you've got to help me with this garden party. Meanwhile,
Giving him like
three-
a whole list of
three
so
of
many
the
things.
four of this family have slept in shit in the last night.
Yeah,
They went to their home that was flooded in sewage.
yeah. Their house is essentially
They've
destroyed.
slept in a gymnasium, but it's, hey, we're having a garden party for my son who loves Native Americans. You have to be here so you can drive me for Mr. Kim, drive me to all the places I need to go.
You have
the
to
wine
cook
store,
this fantastic feast.
right? Mrs. Kim has to cook this feast. Let's invite Kevin the tutor because my daughter's in love with him,
And
let's
Jessica.
invite Jessica because she
the
will
trauma cake.
hopefully help with the trauma cake.
trauma-
And it's like, what the fuck? And then you see, again, what I mentioned before is Mrs. Park in the car with Mr. Kim smelling him,
Yeah,
right? Then you have the moment of the rain was so wonderful last night. That's what made the day so beautiful today.
That was crazy.
And like you have no consciousness of the fact that rain ruined
So many
houses of
people's
people.
lives.
Oh, yeah.
I mean that whole neighborhood that the Kims live in
Well, they
is
don't think about it.
destroyed.
I mean, the bare minimum amount of people that were affected by the rain, look at the gymnasium.
Exactly.
That's the bare minimum.
Exactly.
but it probably wasn't reported.
of course
like-
not.
I mean,
Even if it
I'm
was
sure there was a
reported,
bit of a report, but
I
they
don't
didn't
think the
look
parks
at
will
it.
care.
They didn't.
My house is fine.
Yeah.
Why do I
They were
care about what
tired. They're
they're
not
going
watching the news. The dad went immediately to take a nap.
I was up late because my son wanted to be in the teepee in a rain.
I
in the
mean, that's
rain.
also a thing that happens in this country. It's not like
100%.
just a Korean thing. Like that's definitely relatable to America, where
right.
it's like if it's not
It doesn't
happening to me, I
affect
don't give a fuck.
It doesn't exist. And like that's like how succinctly and easily Bong shows that is like
So good.
it's unfucking believable.
Especially because, like, just Mr. Kim listening to her talk about, oh my God, the rain washed away all the pollution.
And you can see his face
Yeah,
just
He's
like
just getting
darkening.
sadder
The
and
pollution
sadder.
drained into my house.
Right, like that's sorry. That was my cup holder, my coaster. He's miserable in that car. Her feet are
He's
in
miserable
his
at the
face.
grocery store too.
She's making a face about how he smells.
She's constantly on the phone talking
Right.
about, like, oh my
Come
God,
sing for me.
we're gonna get drunk in the
During the
daytime,
daytime, yeah.
all this
It's just
fun
like-
stuff, and it's just like,
It's unbelievable.
yeah. So then it cuts to everybody's there at the garden party.
Oh,
the
wait,
son is
even the
upstairs.
even the setup for the garden party, whenever like the wife, like the house Miss Kim setting up the tables, and like she's trying to just do her work, and the dad's like, quiet, he's still sleeping.
Oh yeah. She's trying to set up the tables outside.
What the
Yeah,
fuck,
it's
dude?
just all these little things. Like,
How are you
hey,
supposed to set that up quietly?
don't open these tables too loud. Our son is sleeping in his fucking teepee.
Fucking what even?
Yeah, and the son is upstairs, and he asks the girl, the park girl, whether he fits in or not.
Yeah, and she just looks at him.
Yeah.
And
I do love the face she made. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, that's like, again, just like on top of all these little subtle gut punches, that's like a real deal.
Like he's
no, you
realizing,
don't
he's
fucking
like,
fit in here,
he's like,
you
why am I
fucking
here?
Poor person, poor. You know, like it's just like
Will
you don't
just dabbed
fit
on
here.
him.
No, I did. It's a Nikki Jakey reference. Shout out Nikki Jakey on YouTube. It's good. You're poor.
Don't reference other
He does
things.
little. He does little
That's it.
Heisman.
How many things? You
Heisman Trophy. That's 3. I'm sorry. No more for the rest.
Three's your limit. That's not true. That's fine. Reference all you want. I don't care.
But yeah, so everybody's over and the party is kicking off, and they're starting to go over their plan of dressing up as Native Americans for this little play, which we mentioned before.
And Mr. Kim truly has never looked more upset.
Yeah,
and just
and like
sad
just,
and
like,
just
dead
downtrodden.
on the inside.
Pissed. He's pissed. And
He looks more downtrodden to me than
think he is
pissed.
dead
and
on the
Mr.
inside.
Park is just like, just think of this as part of your job.
You're getting paid
I'm
extra to
paying
be
you
here.
for this. But like this, the
Because he
subtext is
did mention again, it's like a dig at Mr. Park and his relationship with his wife.
It's like, you love
he
her,
brings
right?
it up multiple times about how he loves her, and Mr. Park is like, yeah, of course, but like I feel like Mr. Kim is like digging at it.
Well, the first time he asks him that, he's like, yeah, we'll call it love.
yeah, true.
What does that even mean?
Right.
Like,
I think
no more like information on that. Like, is he with her because of her family's
I
being
think Mr. Park is gonna call
influential?
it lust.
Yeah, I want you to fucking do it the certain way in my pants on the couch type thing.
The tug 'em.
The tug 'em. So
Dry tug.
they're behind a bush, talking about we're gonna ambush
Yes.
our son in Native American headdress.
And then
Yeah, they're both wearing the Native American headdress.
Yeah.
Which there is a great shot. I saw it online. It's like a side by side shot of like of Mr. Kim's face with the headdress on and like without, and he's making like the same face, just like completely like dead on the inside
Yeah,
face.
just like,
It's really
fuck
fucked.
Yeah,
honestly,
it's sad. It's genuinely sad.
and all around this time, also the Kevin upstairs, he's like, I gotta go down, and she's like, no, don't leave me. And he's like, no, I gotta go down. She's like, why do you want to care with them? He's like, nah, lower than that. And he
Right.
gets the rock out, which I'm like, that's really overt.
Yeah, he's carrying the fucking
Like,
rock.
he doesn't care
I'm
what this
going
girl
to the
sees.
basement with this rock.
Yeah, and like, he obviously says the basement because when she comes down looking for him later,
Right. She finds him eventually.
She goes to the basement.
she doesn't go out front to the garden party. She immediately goes to the basement.
Right. So he goes downstairs. Jessica has
Is
to
about
bring
to
the
go.
cake. No.
She's about to go down to talk to them, and the
Oh,
mom
with the
gives her the
meatballs.
meatballs.
Yeah, true.
And then Miss Park comes by and is like, Jessica, I need you for this thing. And she's
Deliver
like,
this
oh,
trauma
yeah.
cake.
And she puts the happy girl face on immediately, and it's like, oh, what do you need me for? And then that's immediately when, like, the mom has also left the kitchen,
Right.
and Kevin heads downstairs.
The whole thing kicks off here.
Yeah.
I also thought Kevin, because the way he set the rock down, whenever he goes to push the cabinet open, he does the plank maneuver as well to push that cabinet open. You remember? He gets his feet up on the wall.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to fall and smash his face on the rock just then.
Really?
Like, the way I looked at it, I was like, it's going to be a weird happenstance, and they're going to be like, why was Kevin trying to get in here? Like, what's going on?
No, they never find out.
No, and then they immediately
never know.
cut, and he's going downstairs.
Right. So, I think, how does it? So this is, we'll say it because we're about to mangle the fuck out of it. Probably this is the climax of the film.
Yes.
Yeah.
At this point, right? So
So even
at
if you
this
didn't,
point-
I think
even
I
if
have-
you didn't tune out in the other spoiler zone, this is the major.
This is the
spoiler
major
zone.
the
spoiler.
major spoiler zone. We're about to try to piece through this absolutely insane,
Yeah.
maybe 10-minute
of
period
events.
of film.
I think I have the sequence pretty good in my head. This is one of the few
let's hear
things
it.
I'm
Let's
pretty
let you
okay
Let's
run
with.
it.
hear
then.
it,
Let's
Trevor.
let you run it.
So Kevin goes downstairs, and then on the way down, he's like creeping down or whatever. And I think actually during the creep down is when we cut to Mr. Kim and Mr. Park doing their
Behind the
little
bush.
discussion.
Okay.
Nope, never mind. I'm wrong. That happened way before.
Fuck, Trevor, you said you had it perfect.
No. Anyways, he's going down the stairs because
With that heavy ass rock.
he's going downstairs with the heavy ass rock, and he's
Also,
looking
again,
Perfect.
wildly claustrophobic.
extremely.
Perfect.
And then as he's going down the stairs and he's peeking, he drops the rock, and it just tumbles down. And
a full flight of stairs.
A full flight of stairs, and he's freaking out. He's like, and then nothing happens.
There's a good 30 seconds where he stands there at the top of the staircase,
looking at the rock
on the floor below him, trying to see what will happen.
And nothing happens. So he works his way down, and he turns to the
left.
Our left, his right.
Nothing. No. He turns left. Nothing there.
Does he look that way first? I thought he looked immediately at the dead wife. The dead. Okay, fine. He looks.
Housekeeper?
I think he looks left to see that it's clear, and then looks
right,
and then he
sees a head.
Yeah.
Which is like in a bag. Did you notice?
No.
It looked like it was in a bag to me.
it was just her hair.
Remember when she did like widening back, she throws up in the toilet and then falls on her back at the toilet.
And looks at the husband though.
Right, so it's just her head that's there.
I could have swore it looked like it was in a bag of some
No,
sort.
her hair.
It's
Her
the
hair is
same.
dark.
When from the point where she says I'm concussed,
That's when she dies.
she blacks out.
Really?
Or dies.
Yeah, she dies.
Okay,
She dies right there.
I'm glad that's it because I kept wondering why I think I even have a note. It's like, why is her head in a bag?
Yeah, no.
Like,
She's just dead.
Okay, so he looks and he's walking over and he's like, Miss.
Right.
Miss.
Trying to see if she's okay.
And then we see this wire loop.
It looks like a halo.
It looks like a halo come over his head because we're like constantly staring at his
We're
face.
looking up at him from the old housekeeper's
point of view. Yeah. And then that, like basically a noose just goes around his head and the crazy housekeeper
In
husband.
reality, it was a dog catcher pole.
Yeah.
I don't know why it was in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a dog catcher pole.
Yeah, it was wire.
Yeah.
Metal wire.
I thought it was just the whole thing was wire. Like
Oh, I don't know. It looked like a dog catcher
It looked
pole.
like what you would use to catch a
it
dog.
does look like that. So he runs.
Whatever it is.
It's got
Why
this
it was in
handle
there.
on it, and the husband he just runs with it, and he's like screaming, and Kevin's choking, and locks him into the pipes on the side of the wall, and he goes to like smash him with the rock.
Yeah.
Randomly happens to get loose, sprints his way upstairs. All the while, the crazy husband's chasing him.
But still has the noose on his neck.
Still has the
thing
noose on
is
his head.
clanging on the stairs, like
Great, like the ever-present like fear behind him.
Unbelievable.
That ding, 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 ding.
clanging up the steps behind him.
So good. And as he gets to the top, and just yanked so
Off his
hard,
feet,
Parallel to the ground.
180 degrees.
Down on the ground.
down on the ground, not doing good. And then here comes the housekeeper's husband right up behind him, and
with
just
the rock.
with the rock, and just
wealth rock.
boom, hard cut to outside. Just
So like, that shit was
insane.
Spoilerino, how the fuck did he survive?
Yeah,
How?
because like
Not only the fact that just the one, he gets a second one.
He gets
after
locked
we
in the
cut.
head.
yeah,
back.
we're outside for a minute with like them starting to light the candle.
Right.
Everyone's having fun.
Right.
And then we cut back and the husband is drinking the plum extract
Some
or whatever,
fucking
the
juice.
plum
Yeah,
infusion.
Yeah, it was the plum extract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throws it on the ground and then comes back over and we see the mixture of the blood from
A lot
Kevin
of blood.
and the plum extract like mixing together.
And then he thumps him in the fucking skull again.
Again.
with
And
that
that's a
rock.
graphic shot because we see
Horrible.
It's really graphic.
it's a full like frame
Yeah,
with
wide shot.
a wide shot with Kevin on the ground and him standing. All of it's in frame, and throws the rock again. Bashes him in the head, and his arm flips up like he
His
spasms.
finger is twitching.
He's dead. He's 100% dead, but he's not. But he looks 100. At that point, I'm like, Kevin's fucking dead.
Yeah.
I did write "Rip Son," and then afterwards I put "He lived."
Yeah, that was a lot.
In my notes.
That's the type of shot
I
that cuts away.
I put. Oh, why did I put Kim? I meant Kevin was super dead.
Whatever. That's the type of shot that cuts away in most American cinema.
Yes.
They hold on that shot. You watch that rock, which is probably the width of our torso.
Yeah, it was
Right?
I'd say a little
Like,
less than that.
Your
but
average,
still.
your average 5'8", 5'10" man.
5'7".
Sure. That's like your torso width.
At least a foot.
It's
probably like a good
it's
foot and a half.
Good sized rock. That shit went right down on his skull.
And then he walks upstairs.
And then he walks upstairs, and he's got blood all over his face from
He's got,
smashing
like-
his head into the Morse code light switches.
It's like an upside down T.
Yeah.
It looks like Native American paint.
It does. Actually, you know what?
It
You're
looks like
100%
war paint,
right. It
and
looks like
that's
war paint.
intentional also.
Oh, real? Okay.
It
Yeah, that
has
makes
to be.
sense. Of
Has to
course.
be. It's because it's coming from the crown of his hairline
Where he was smashing that button.
down his face in a line,
And across his
And
chin.
and then it
acro-
goes horizontal across his cheeks
with not a whole lot of
nose-wise.
drippage.
Not
A little
lot of
bit, but not
drippage.
too much.
It
yeah.
looks intentional as fuck.
It looks intentional. It's like an upside down T.
But
crazy.
yeah, he emerges from the basement like a monster.
A
and
fucking monster.
walks through the kitchen,
No one notices him either when he walks
grabs the
up
knife.
to the party.
Yeah, he comes outside,
notices him.
right outside the sliding door, the big glass door or whatever.
He's watching the events.
And he's
Yeah.
he glares at the sun.
Yeah.
He's got this knife, and there's like chefs and
It's like the
people
first time he's been outside in a long time.
right there, and no one notices him.
He's just at the back of this crowd who's enthralled by the cake delivery from Jessica to the Park son.
yeah.
Right? And then it looks like he's listening or watching for someone in particular. Turns out it's Chung Suk, who's the mother of the Kim family.
I think he immediately sees Jessica and then goes for her first, because he stabs her first.
He does stab her first, right in
Okay.
the heart.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
He runs
Stabs her in the
out,
heart.
stabs her
Like,
straight, like right there in the heart.
breastplate.
Yeah.
Yeah, through her rib cage, which is good stab. He made it through bone, because that thing's straight up and down.
Yeah.
That's not even
might
sideways
have
going.
dodged a bone.
What? What?
Dodged a bone?
No.
Classic bone dodge.
I assume that's a reference that I don't know.
No, it's not.
So he gets, but then also Jessica.
yeah, shout out.
Bone tomahawk.
Okay.
Is that the horror movie where it's really fucking graphic?
It's a western.
Yeah,
It's really
isn't
fucking
it a western
graphic.
horror, though?
I've never seen it.
Oh. Okay, go on.
I
Trevor.
have no idea what you're talking
Trevor,
about.
go on.
They
Classic not film nerd.
He stabs her through the heart, and then like pulls it out. But she also, in that same moment, pushes the cake in his face, which I thought was a nice
Yeah, it was great.
touch. So he pulls the thing out, and then he like has her hand.
Respect!
No,
Not
He-
yet.
Sorry,
He's-
I know, but like it's just so funny. To
that's when he starts screaming for Chok Sun or whatever.
Chung-suk, yeah.
Chung-suk. Starts
Mrs.
screaming
Kim.
for her because he's like about threatening to, I guess, cut her the daughter's wrist, which like you already stabbed her in
He's
the chest.
holding her, yeah.
And then she comes out with like a tomahawk, one of the like Native American tomahawks, to, like
Right.
attack the husband guy. And at that point, also, whenever
husbands
Jessica
come out.
falls, the son sees him and starts falling over and having a
Right.
seizure.
So that's
and-
the thing too. Like, so the son sees the old housekeeper's husband,
who is the source of his trauma.
recognizes that that's the man who was creeping out of the stairway when he had the original seizure, goes into a seizure, falls back on the ground. So the Park family runs to the son. Meanwhile, Jessica has...
Well, just the dad does.
The dad, right. Jessica has a massive bloody wound in her chest. She's been stabbed in the fucking heart.
Yeah, rip.
Mr. Kim is on top of Jessica,
Putting pressure on the
putting
wound.
pressure on the wound. Mr. Park is on top of his son, saying,
Carries
Mr.
him-
Kim, we need to go to the hospital.
Yes.
Why
All-
are you sitting here?
First, he's saying, "Let's go."
Let's go.
Yeah, running
And
with the
then
son,
he
and
asks
then
for the keys, like
Yeah.
as if this
His
woman's
first instinct was, leave this tutor here.
to die.
You have to drive me to the hospital for my son.
yeah.
So once again, we have the class thing playing in. Because this is now not about family or people. It's about,
My
this
son.
is a tutor.
Yeah, this life.
She
matters
is someone
more
that
than
we
the other.
pay. This is my son. I'm the one who pays you. Get up, get in the car, and drive my son to the hospital because we have,
That
as
shit's
mentioned
scary.
before, 15 minutes to get into the hospital before.
Also, while Miss Kim is fighting actively
Right,
with the crazy guy.
right.
He's
Still
like,
fighting.
drive us now. And it's like,
Yeah.
she's actively fighting.
So that's his wife, who's in a knife fight with a fucking crazy person. His daughter, who is stabbed in the heart in front of him on the ground. Meanwhile, your quote employer is saying, "Why are you standing still?
Drive us.
Drive me to the hospital so I can save my family.
And then he's like, give me the keys at least.
Give me the keys."
And he does, which I'm kind of surprised by.
He throws them,
They don't
but
make it.
They get caught up in the fight.
they hit Mrs. Kim midair as she tackles the old housekeeper's husband to the ground with a skewer, I think she
He
has.
goes to stab
Yeah, it's a
her, and
skewer
at that point, she's
with all the
able
sausages
to.
on it.
He misses, hits the ground, and at that point, she's able to get leverage to grab that skewer and stab it through his side.
Right, so he gets skewered.
And it's a nice, satisfying stab
Yeah,
where like
should
it goes in
clean
part
further.
the way,
And then all the way.
something gives, and she's able to get in the
Yeah.
rest. I'm like, oh, I love a good
Good,
2-part
clean
stab.
stab.
I'm sorry.
Respect.
So then, this guy's dead, but he's on top of the car.
He's
keys.
dying.
Dying.
Because then that's when Mr. Park comes over to him, and he's like, "Hello, Mr. Park," and he's like, "You know me?" And that's when he screams respect at him.
Right, respect. which he screamed before when he was
Yes.
doing the crazy Morse code thing.
Yeah.
But again, the inciting incident, and one of the most important things of this entire film, is that the car keys that Mr. Kim threw to Mr. Park
Are under the dead,
ended up
dying
under
guy.
the dying man who's been skewered. Right.
Maybe dead at this point. I'm
So
not
Mr.
sure.
Park has to walk over, roll over the dead body, and as he's rolling the dead body,
He smells him.
he smells this man who's been living in a basement for 4 years, and he stops and covers his nose.
Pinches it. And
Like
then,
he has done to the Kims, like his wife has done to the Kims, and Mr. Kim notices this, and you just see his face change.
Yeah.
It's like this fucking masterful moment
Yes.
of like recognition that this person thinks I'm less than him because
He thinks
has more
I'm
than
at the
me.
same level as this crazy guy who just killed
right.
my wife and possibly son.
Yeah.
Because he sees good on the daughter, by the way.
Yeah,
Picking up Kevin and carrying
bringing him out. Yeah,
That is a much larger human than her, and she is
She
back.
fucking champed it out.
she changed it. She loves it.
She somehow got him on her back.
Yeah,
And is carrying him out.
Yeah.
With, good on her. She seems like a decent human.
for sure. Child, innocent child.
Yes, but
So Mr. Park rolls that man over, gets the keys after stopping to catch his breath because, quote, it smells so yucky.
so adrenaline in that moment. The fact that that is so ingrained in him that is like, oh, poor people smell.
Yeah.
Because the adrenaline of that situation should have
You're
powered
getting
him
the
through
key.
anything.
But that's an underline, right? Like,
it's so ingrained
here
in him
you
that
are
he has
again.
to stop.
Here you are again, poor person. You smell poor. So then Mr. Kim notices that hitch in Mr. Park and then
Loses it.
Yeah.
fucking loses it.
Headdress off, knife up.
Stabs that motherfucker in
In
the
the
shoulder.
chest.
Like a up down stab, right?
Ah.
It's like a this.
Through lower shoulder, straight into heart.
just-
Straight into
stabbed
heart.
me.
That shit was
Mr.
crazy.
Kim is dead almost instantly.
Almost instantly. You just slow motion fall to the ground.
Also, shows that he's not as tough as the daughter.
right.
She got stabbed through the heart, and she is holding on for a
Yeah.
while.
I mean, she does die.
Yeah,
Big
but
rip.
she still holds out longer.
She does.
And then Mr. Kim, or Mr. Park, who should be running high on adrenaline at
Yeah,
this point,
nope. Just
he's had the
Low on
opportunity.
adrenaline, if anything.
Dunzo.
Jessica did not have the
Very
opportunity
low.
to get adrenaline pumping through her system, but she is like,
She's always
she's
high.
good. He should be able to survive his heart being pulled out of his chest at
Right.
this point, and he's dead almost instantly
Yeah.
because he's a pussy.
And then Mr. Kim escapes.
Right. So I just
Yes.
Where'd he
brief
go?
second to talk about that shot. That shot, more than any other shot in this entire movie, upon my rewatch, was like screaming at me. That like, it's kind of like a loose overhead of Mr. Kim
Yes.
as he leaves the apartment, but it's like it's not a fixed perspective. It like
It's
kinda
a moving
wobbles.
overhead, like it's almost focused on his legs at some point.
Sort of, right? Because it's wobbling back and forth above him. So, like, you're never directly top down on him. You're sometimes in front of him, sometimes in back of
behind
him.
him.
And I just think that's, like,
That was a gorgeous shot. Like
unbelievable shot.
I also noticed it because I did happen to get a second watch of just the end because I showed up while Jacob and Abby were finishing
Right.
up the movie. And that shot to me also stood out.
It's
like
amazing.
especially on a rewatch. It's like
It's amazing.
damn.
Because all the audio cuts out. You just have the wind blowing. And you have this wobbly, like, almost like an unreliable narrator type of overhead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of Mr. Kim kind of like realizing where he was. He has the
What
one
he
hand.
just did.
The one hand is all bloody.
He's literally red-handed.
right. He's red-handed. Yeah. Amazing. And he slowly walks and then starts to like run
Down the stairs,
out
and
of
then
the
we don't
apartment,
see him anymore.
And then cut.
Gone, vanished.
And then the
Thin
next
air.
scene at that point is Kevin waking up. I'm pretty sure, right? Is that the next scene?
In the hospital, yeah.
In the hospital,
I
it's
think
like
so.
And
the first time I
detective
opened
that
my
he doesn't think is a detective.
and the doctor who doesn't look like a doctor.
Yeah. So like again,
Just laughing.
this shit is funny.
It's a month later.
And it's funny. Like
Oh,
that
it's very
doctor is
funny.
funny.
It is.
He's like pissed that this dude's laughing at him.
The
Really,
detective is.
The detective.
Yeah, sorry, the detective, not the
The
doctor.
detective is like, he looks like a child.
Right, and he's like, why does he keep
He's
laughing?
like, do I have to read him the Miranda thing again?
Like again?
He's like, what? You like
And
his rights, and then he just continues forward.
It's just like-
and he's like, and he's still laughing.
How do you manage to find any levity at all?
I mean,
in the
brain
situation? No, but I'm saying from the director's point of view.
Oh yeah,
Like
that's a
your
pretty good way
family-
though. Brain
half
damage.
your family is murdered, but it's hilarious still. Like I laughed. I laughed at that detective.
Yeah, I did too. It was great. And yeah, it's the whole, so like he recovers from his,
They go to court.
he goes to court and him and his mom
Probation.
amazingly got off on probation.
Yeah.
Well, the only things they were able to charge him with is just like
Trespassing,
Petty
forgery,
Yeah.
ill intent or something
Yeah.
along those lines.
Yeah. Because presumably the husband of the original housekeeper took all the rap for the murder.
Well,
and all
he's
that.
for
dead.
sure. That's why they're trying to find him.
Self-defense. Yeah.
No, he's dead.
What?
I mean
The housekeeper's
the original
husband.
housekeeper, not their husband.
Oh,
And
yeah,
father.
yeah.
He's getting the father's getting the rap for Parker's death.
Yes.
Right.
The mom and son had
Parks,
no idea.
Parks.
Parks. So damn it.
Drake and Josh Bond.
Yeah.
I can't not.
Possibly recording next. Maybe not.
But yeah, it's just crazy. So yeah, they get off on that. They go see the sister's grave with her cremated ashes and stuff in this, like, I guess that's a Korean style like crematorium mausoleum type deal.
Like the wall of photos, basically.
Photos and urns and stuff, and
Yeah.
he's laughing through that.
He's laughing constantly.
The only time he didn't laugh, he said, was when rewatching the news footage.
That I don't really understand that part.
Well, because he's got brain damage.
But then he's fine at the end,
He is totally fine. Almost 100% fine.
Is he though?
I don't know.
isn't he?
Is he? So that's that. Okay.
They don't actually show anything because the like good ending is just still him like
It's in his
saying
head.
what's
About
gonna
it.
happen.
Yeah.
Like at first, so
But it
we
isn't.
we go through and he
How
like
is he gonna do that?
he's definitely got brain damage because he's spying on this house that doesn't even have the Park family in it anymore. It has some other family in
A
it.
German
But his
family.
dad's there.
He doesn't know that yet.
Yeah, he goes there not knowing,
Yeah.
He goes there not knowing, and
and then
he's
seeing the Morse code light.
like, I happened to stay late that night, even though it was cold. And that's when he sees the Morse code happening, and he records on his phone and then translates it later. I can't speak because he was also a scout,
Yeah.
which is like a whole weird underlying subtext throughout this whole thing about
Boy Scouts.
they were
Yeah.
like the Mr. Park was a scout, his son's a scout, and Kevin was a scout, but Mr. Kim wasn't
I don't
because
know, but
he had the Morse code thing downstairs that the husband was using.
yeah, so he's living in the basement now.
Yeah,
He's the parasite.
so before we find that out, the moment we're
Essentially.
watching the news report where they're outside the house and she's like, and he seemed to vanish because the old housekeeper when she first
Also,
came,
great camera work by that
Cut.
news crew.
yeah.
Really
Fantastic.
great camera work.
She's like circling the
She's
camera
spinning
and stuff.
he's like going there, like the cameraman's
I
finding
thought
him.
that too.
That was
Like,
good.
really excellent camera work, my dude.
A little too much.
No, I thought it was really good. I hope
they
that's how
nailed
it is.
They nailed it.
It was good, but anyways, like the moment we see them saying he seemed to vanish in thin air, I'm like, he's in the basement.
Yeah.
Like I have it written down somewhere in my notes. Let me see. Anyway, I have it written somewhere that it's like Dad's in the basement, and then whenever we finally are shown because of the Morse code thing that he's in the basement, I just wrote "called it" next to it.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
he's in the basement, and he's been living there for at least a month
For a while, yeah.
because also his mom and Kevin were being followed by detectives
yeah.
for like however long.
And they're horrible detectives.
Yeah.
They're like tripping over shit
Yeah, really bad.
And then once the detective tails stop is whenever he goes to spy on the house.
to the mountain, yeah.
And then we have this whole dream sequence where he's like, he writes his dad a letter, which how
Yeah.
the hell is
And
he
he's,
ever
like,
going to get?
rich. He's like, I'm gonna buy the house, and then they show him buying the house. And at first when they showed it, I was like, what the fuck?
What the fuck? He did it?
I was
He
like,
did
what? He was
low-key-
just able to become rich like that?
Low key fucking gut punch.
Whenever they
Because I
like,
was like, this is great dream fulfillment. Because
and then it doesn't happen.
no matter what we've said,
Yeah, he's in the.
you
sub-basement.
still want the Kim family to succeed.
You do. You at
Yeah,
least want
right?
Kevin to be like,
They're not
okay.
sympathetic necessarily, but the movie is framed through their perspective. You want them to be okay.
At the very least, I want
Yes.
Kevin to be okay.
Right.
The mom can go fuck herself. Even the sister,
Jessica was great.
she
Jessica,
was
only child, Illinois, Chicago.
she was great, but also she was kind of a piece of shit.
But
They were all pieces of shit.
Yeah, but
Everybody is.
Kevin, at the
Everybody in the
least, I
movie
feel like is like the most sympathetic.
Yeah,
So
I
I
know,
wanted
get
him
that.
to
I
be
get that.
okay. And then I was even like, wow, that's crazy that he bought the house in my notes. And then immediately
Right.
I was like, okay, yeah, no way.
Yeah, no.
But the dad buries the maid in the yard.
Yeah.
good.
The housekeeper, like,
Fuck her.
there's a dead body in that yard that family now that lives there has in their yard. And they have
No one's gonna ever know, though.
They'll find it eventually.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely. That's prime real estate right there. Someone's eventually, a rich person.
Try to make a pool.
is going to try and put in a pool, do something with the landscaping in that yard, and he did not bury that 6 feet. There's no fucking way.
Buried it by the tree. What if the tree sucks up all the nutrients?
Not bones.
It's a dead person tree.
Bones will be found
Dead
eventually.
tree.
It's a zombie tree.
Bones will be found
Fossils.
eventually.
But that's pretty much the whole
That's it.
deal.
Yeah, we cut
Wait,
to...
We just talked for 2 hours
So
about it.
he has that fantasy, and then it just cuts to him back in the sub basement, writing that letter,
and
Yeah.
going to sleep.
and then saying "so long."
So long.
Period.
And that's it.
And
I think the dad...
fuck.
I honestly think the dad dies in that basement.
100%.
He never gets out.
No way. And I wrote.
Or gets found or
I wrote
something.
in my notes, do you guys think he gets out?
No.
But like, of course he
No.
fucking does.
If he gets out because somehow the new family found the basement.
Right.
And then he's arrested.
Not because of Kevin.
No.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think Kevin's able to help him.
That little fucking tease of Kevin figuring it out and
No.
then just cutting right back to the sub basement like, no, you're forever poor.
Yeah.
Just wonderful underline
Also,
of the whole class.
I love in his family how he's like, me and mom will be in the yard. The mom walks over to where the dead housekeeper was in his little
Yeah, she
fantasy.
does.
Yeah.
It takes a photo. It's like, does she take a photo of the grave?
She doesn't know.
Like, but like in his fantasy, does she
She also
know?
doesn't run over to her husband after not seeing him for years.
I think she starts
Right.
to pick up pace a little bit towards them.
Not much.
Not-
Not much. Because
not
I looked
enough.
for it. I looked for it. I was like, is she gonna start running or? No, she's like, all right.
Cool.
Doesn't really care that much.
You're alive. Nice. You caused a lot of issues for
Yeah.
us.
Right.
But
So that's the movie.
fantastic movie.
Great movie.
Sorry we talked about it for so long.
What?
No.
I love this.
We're only at
We
2
loved-
hours in a minute.
But
We
who
loved-
knows? Maybe this will be the new format. It'll be
We
a
talked
2
about
hour
it
long
for
deal.
almost the entire run length of the actual movie.
Yes.
and I think
a
that's
success
good.
in my point of view.
That's good. We even left out a lot of stuff, I feel like.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I didn't look at my notes very often.
No, there's a lot. Even speaking about this movie for 2 hours, I don't think we did it justice.
No,
No,
I mean,
like-
we still missed out stuff. Like we missed out the point. I'll mention it now because I was thinking about it earlier. The kid, the park son, when he first notices the light flickering and he starts writing down the Morse code,
Right.
And he writes down "help me."
But it's hope
But it-
though.
Hope.
It's HOLP
Right, yeah, it is
M.
Yeah,
It's
just
hope,
M.
yeah, and he doesn't do anything
Right,
with it.
and
Nothing
that's-
comes of it.
Yet another moment where we're like, holy shit, is this how they
Nothing.
find
Nope.
out? Nope.
Nope.
And
Not the
also,
one.
like in coming back to stuff where I thought they were going to get found out, something I wrote down. Whenever the family is all having their dinner the second time and like they have all the money, like they have some money now, but they're in their apartment and they're like a low ground apartment. And there's that guy who comes back to pee.
Yeah.
And the dad and the son go out and like throw water on
Yeah.
him.
And you get that great
And
slow-mo shot.
the daughter like takes a video. I was like, that video, that's going to be the thing that
Yeah.
gets him
The
caught.
leak. Nope.
And then nothing comes of that.
Yeah.
So like there was just moments throughout this movie where I'm like, they're going to get caught and they don't.
You're on edge the entire time.
You are. Little stuff like that I feel like was really well sparsed in there to where it's like nothing comes of this.
Yeah.
In real life, nothing would. Why on earth would the Park family ever see this video of them
They
in,
wouldn't.
in squalor throwing water on like a random dude? And they didn't. It was just, oh my God, it was so good.
But yeah, if you guys have not seen the movie and you've listened all the way to this point, you should still watch the movie.
You should, but also you've ruined it for yourself.
Yeah, you fucked up.
But yeah, please, guys, let us know if you have anything you want us all to watch. If there's anything that maybe we missed in the movie, you could also shout out, or something that you think or want to let us know about. But yeah, definitely have any recommendations, shoot them over to us because we can always have a special episode where none of us have seen it.
Absolutely, because I love that idea of like on occasion after a cycle's gone through, we do a fan shows us essentially
Yeah.
episode.
And we can shout you guys out. But thank you guys so much for listening. Let us know how we did, if we need to change anything or what's up. But I'm really glad that we are doing this new podcast. It has been absolutely fantastic. I'm really glad to be able to do something a little bit different.
We've been
than the
talking
other
about
stuff.
doing this podcast.
I'm doing one style of podcast for like 2 years now.
We've been talking about doing this podcast, and it's been cut out of like previous episodes for so long. We've been like, the
I
show
think
me
it's-
something's coming soon, and it
it's-
just hasn't.
I think one of the times she wasn't able to cut it out. Guys could probably find that episode where Trevor said too much.
I said it like I probably said it like 8 or 9 times.
We said it. Well, to be fair, we said it 3 episodes in a row because we recorded them all on the same night.
Oh dang. Yeah, that's fair.
And it was when we first came up with the idea of the podcast.
the Show Me Something podcast.
We were
good.
pumped about it. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. And we'll catch you guys next time.